Considering the one I did with my buddy Nick was in his barn, this is a step up. We're at a table now. I feel very professional. So, Jake Bode, welcome to the Wonton Wednesday podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for agreeing to be here and tell us everything. So, do you want to start mild, medium, spicy, or Australian? I know I threw you off of that.
Yeah. I mean, we'll get to spicy. I figure it'll kind of have a nice flow.
It will. But if, you break it in early and you can just do it often. It's just the same theory as being in the military.
Yeah, that's where all the spicy stuff comes from anyways.
Yeah, pretty much.
Life after's been boring.
It's had its moments, but it's not the same frequency. It's what it is.
Yeah. I mean, there's a thing with just time in service where everything gets just, I don't know the word for it, but it seems like everything happens so much faster and frequently.
Yep.
So, I don't know, it's all compressed into 4 years. You feel like you had a whole life or however long you're in. I mean, I can't imagine some of the guys I know who are just now getting their retirement papers, and I'm like,
oh, holy fuck, yeah, I saw that. Well, I know a few guys who are too. Dude, there's a kid who came in after me by probably a year, got it at Ninja Punch, NJP. He's just now, well, he picked up E8 a little bit ago, but I'm like, holy fuck. Because, E8 in the Marine Corps is hard to get.
I think E8 anywhere is pretty hard to get. I mean, Army-wise, you get to your 6, and then if you're lucky or you really want to pursue it, you can get 7, become a platoon sergeant, and that's usually where you're going to stop. Unless you work, in shops. So shops had more master sergeants, but, first sergeant is rare. I mean, 1 per company, which is another E8 just with an extra symbol in it. I can't remember off the top of my head. I think it's a diamond.
Yeah, E8 for us splits off too. There's Master Sergeant and First Sergeant, I believe. Yeah. Or is it Master Guns? Fuck. I don't know. Shit gets weird.
What I cleared in 08, so it's been just over 15 years. So, 08 from active, and then I did a little bit of reserve time, which was more of a, hey, what do I got to do to not get sent back to a sandbox anytime soon so I can just stay in school?
Yeah, that's probably a legitimate answer. Wasn't that down in Horseheads?
Exactly where it was.
Oh, God, that sounds horrible.
It was. I did nothing. It was 1 weekend a month of, hey, you're here. Watch this PowerPoint today. Okay, what are we doing with the rest of our day? Nothing. We were a small arms training group that didn't have an arms room. Yeah.
What?
Yeah. I got to do that job one time. They sent us to Puerto Rico in 09. The Puerto Rican National Guard was getting ready to go somewhere, do something. So as part of their readiness, they had to go through firearms training. So we flew to Puerto Rico. I spent 11 days on the island.
Okay.
I worked for 7 hours total of those 11 days. 3 hours of doing dime drills where they literally sit with a box with a dime on the front sight post to work on proper trigger squeeze.
Jesus Christ.
And then 1 range day where I did get to yell at an E8 who pointed a loaded AR.
You flagged the line?
Oh, no, in my face, going to clear the line.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, she took the rifle, put it barrel in my face, finger on trigger while magazine was still in and on fire, and said, all clear. And I grabbed that thing so fast. And
how did you not punch her in the fucking face?
It took everything I had not to, and I went off. And then she's just like, somebody better come control this soldier. And my first sergeant came over and he goes, what's going on? I was like, she came down the line, mag in, on fire, still had rounds, finger on the trigger with a barrel in my face. And he looked at her and he goes, it's his range. You listen, you fucked up.
Oh my God.
So yeah, that was my one fun experience while in the reserves.
I have so many questions that don't involve that. Like, what the fuck does Puerto Rico do with the National Guard? Like, who do they report to?
They have their whole, like, their own unit down there. It's on, like, the south.
Does that fall under U.S. Army? Because I know they're a territory.
Yeah. No, it's a full U.S. Army. There's a whole, like, base embassy thing. So it's actual U.S. Army National Guard located in Puerto Rico.
But are they Puerto Rican citizens?
Yeah.
Okay.
For the most part. I don't think there was any people who were, like, stationed there. There might have been higher up, but nobody that I met.
Okay.
It was a fun time though. I mean, we were in
sounds it.
Yeah, we were in Ponce, which is like this. I think it's in like the southwest side. It's like as far away from San Juan as you can get, which was good because we did like 1 day trip to San Juan and the touristy crap, and I was like, I'm good. Let's go back. The food was better over here.
I believe it. Small towns are great for that. So, where do we want to start?
I mean, we can start
with when you were put into existence in this world in the Western New York and work our way into why the hell did you join the Army?
Well, I guess it kind of all led to it, but like originally, so I was born in Buffalo, but grew up in Dunkirk, just about 40 minutes, hour south of Buffalo.
This is Dunkirk, New York, not the one in France, right?
Yeah. But if you go there nowadays, looks about what Dunkirk, France did.
We got some amazing cliffs there.
Yeah, I'm surprised more people don't jump off of them.
Well, they put a fence on to stop you.
Oh, yeah, this is true.
Doesn't stop anyone. You can hop the fence. It's 3.5 foot.
Yeah.
I did that a lot. They're beautiful cliffs, and I just sit there and I'd watch the sunset as a hooligan teenager. Carry on, sorry.
Yeah, no, I mean, I went to the same spot. I just never went up to the cliffs. I always just hid in one of the pavilion things they had over there, or like in one of. I'm talking about the point.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about too.
So in like one of their pavilions, I'd like find a corner and just sit there and like smoke shitty weed out of a pop can that had holes punched in it.
Yeah, that's what I'd be doing too. Except I was over that shitty little fence, walk down the little goat path, like sit on top of the shale rocks, which probably felt like they were going to collapse at any second, and just be like, this is so cool.
That's all there was to do in that town. I grew up in a place where it's like, what are you going to do? I'm going to smoke weed and maybe go to the bowling alley and get ripped off by buying a big ass bag of rubber bands.
Yeah, that's a different story. So no, when I was in boot camp, one of our drill instructors was like, there's 3 things you can find in the Marine Corps. You can find the bottle, you can find the gym, or you can find God. And I'm just like, that sounds like my town. Fuck, this isn't an improvement. Except there was also a 4th in town too. You could do fucking hard drugs.
Yeah. So
you could graduate from shitty weed and go directly to I don't know what they would have been at that point. I guess it was
Coke was huge in the 82nd.
I'm not surprised by that.
No. It helped me at one point that it was such a big deal, and I'll get to that in a bit, but I didn't do it, but I benefited because of the people who did. But yeah, so grew up there, eventually got...
Wait, we got to cheers this.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Fucking old-fashioned. Good one. Oh, fuck, that's good.
Yeah, it's kind of been my go-to drink of choice lately.
That's nice.
Simple. Yeah, went to school in Dunkirk till like my junior year after spending my freshman and sophomore more suspended than in school. Mm-hmm. Then transferred a little bit north to Silver Creek, a whole 8 miles away. And there I went from like this grungy outcast punk kid to like, oh, hey, You're new. Let's hang out. And I'm like, what the fuck is this like? I have people. I have like weekend plans and shit. It was weird. So it was more weed, more drinking.
Too?
Played football for Dunkirk.
Yeah,
and
what you did there?
When I transferred to Silver Creek, I played soccer.
Okay.
And graduated and then took right off to the Army. And it was, I grew up in a small town and I watched what happened to the people who stuck around. Either you worked at the steel mill or the dog food plant or the ice cream plant, one of the three places.
And if you're in the next town over in Fredonia, you worked at the condiment factory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there was one of 4 factories that you were going to work in, or go to college, which I knew at that point, I'm like, I'm done with school right now.
Did we say the juice plant too?
Oh, I forgot about Cliff Star. I don't know how I forgot about that.
I forget about it all the fucking time.
Yeah, not Cliff Star anymore, but it was back then, so I'll always remember it as Cliff Star. Yeah. But yeah, so I looked at my options and I said, I don't want to become a townie working at a factory. I'm smart enough to know that if I go to school now, I'm going to spend a lot of time and money just to drop out or flunk out or whatever. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to join the service. So I contacted the Air Force. That's originally where I was going to go.
Okay.
Yeah, my uncle was Air Force. My grandfather was Air Force. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to follow the trend, and I'm just going to go Air Force. So I called the recruiter, scheduled an appointment, and he rescheduled, and then rescheduled again, and rescheduled again. And then at one point, I was dating this girl in Mayville, and I was friends with her sister who had signed up for the Army, and I called her a fucking idiot. I was like, you're so fucking dumb. You could do anything you want. Why the fuck would you join the Army? She's like, well, you know, I want to go serve my country and blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, but you could have gone Navy or Air Force or something, you know, used your damn brain. So I'm giving her shit about it, and I happen to be there because I'm dating her sister, and Army recruiter comes in. They're going over paperwork or whatever, and this is so terribly, like... Cliche. We're watching Black Hawk Down.
Yes. I approve of this so far.
And the recruiter's walking out, and he stops. He's like right in the middle of the TV. He stops, and he looks at me, he goes, what are you, like 17? I go, yeah. He goes, you got any plans? What are your plans for your future? I go, hey, man, I've already been trying to deal with this shit. If you're serious, here's my number. I wrote my phone number down on a little piece of paper. I handed it to him. I'm like, I'm busy right now. If you really want me, fucking call me. Now go. The guy was like, all right, cool. I'll call you. And he left.
Was it Sergeant Ski out of Dunkirk?
Yeah. Okay. So, funny story about...
Third guy I know who's got... Wait, no. Both my brothers, Bobby. Fourth guy I know who had him.
Yeah. So, he calls, and I'm like, all right, I'll meet up with you. Now, Silver Creek had made everybody take the ASVAB. I didn't look at what my numbers were. Yeah. In Silver Creek, in your junior year, all kids have, like, they make it so everybody in their junior year takes the ASVAB.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So I didn't intentionally take it. I just was there one day and they're like, hey, we have this standard test that you have to take. It's in case you want to join the service. Everybody's taking it. Whoa. So I didn't look at my numbers or know what any of this shit meant when I got it in the mail. I was like, okay, cool, whatever. Well, you know, a year later, the guy's like, all right, what do you want to do? And I'm like, I don't know. What can I do? He's like, well, you took the ASVAB. Let's look at your numbers. What do you want to do? And I'm like,
so you had a good score.
Yeah. So it was like overall in the 95th percentile with, I think it was like a 122 GT, which is high.
Not hard.
Yeah. But it's like,
the ASVAB was not hard.
No, not at all. So
the way I like to explain the GT, which is general technical, which is how well you can work on mechanics, is there's questions on pulleys on there, which is literally how a bicycle chain works. And they're just like, really? I'm like, yeah, it's bicycle chains.
Exactly.
And then it's just like, you ace that. It's like, great. You can go work on aircraft now.
You can do anything in the Army because that's the only thing they look at is your GT score. Mm-hmm. And MOS
they look at the overall number and then the GT for Navy Marine Corps. So like you have to have like the minimum passing ASVAB grade, which I think is like 33 or 35.
Yeah, something low.
Something like stupid where it's just like, all right, you can shoot and salute. Got it.
Yep. So he looks at me and goes, what do you want to do? And remember, I had been watching Black Hawk Down.
Yes.
So verbatim.
I approve of this so far.
When the recruiter asked me what I want to do in the Army, I said, I want to jump out of planes and blow shit up.
Perfect.
He goes, so Airborne Infantry? I go, perfect. Sign me up.
Yeah.
He goes, all right, this goes one of two ways. He's like, do you want to go to Ranger School? And I'm like, yeah, let's do that. He's like, okay, so you can either sign up and get guaranteed that you go to Ranger Indoctrination Program or RIP, or you can sign up and get guaranteed Airborne School. And I tell you right now, in the last week of Airborne School, they're going to ask, who wants to go to RIP? I believed him. I was like, all right, give me Airborne. So August of 03, and yeah, that's Mr. Frosty, our ice cream man, driving by.
Fuck yeah.
So yeah, August of 03, right after graduating, I took off, went to Fort Benning for infantry. So it's OSUT, one station unit training.
Yeah, so you do basic and infantry school.
Yeah.
Like you graduate basic and you stay in your same squad bay and you just keep your drill instructors.
Yeah.
And you,
So with Army infantry, there's no like separation. It's all just together. So you don't graduate, so you finish everything.
oh, okay.
So it's just one straight shot. I think it was like 14 weeks or something like that. Nothing crazy. Finished that, and it was December at that point, and it was 2 weeks before Fort Benning, Georgia shut down all training for Christmas Exodus. Airborne School is 3 weeks. So for those 2 weeks, they hand jammed a secret clearance for those of us going to Airborne School, and we got trained in the Javelin system. So my MOS got an extra number. So officially when I cleared, I was an 11 Bravo, 1 Papa, 2 Charlie.
All right, so Bravo is basic infantryman, right?
Yep.
So you're rifleman.
Yeah.
And then you also got an assaultman's.
So it's
like how does that work?
So the
'Cause I
2
know-
Charlie part was an anti-tank designation,
Right.
for being specially trained for the Javelin system, because like an AT-4 is a point and click weapon.
Right.
You don't need anything for that, or we didn't use them, but like MAWs or laws or any of that type of anti-tank shit. But the Javelin, you have to go through special training because like the launch unit is like $250,000 just for that thing.
Right. So I know for the Marine Corps, the way the infantry breaks down is there's 0311s, which would be your Bravos. Machine gunners are 0321s. And then 0331s is mortarmen. You guys also have a separate thing for mortarmens, I know. And then I think it's 51, which is no longer an MOS, is assaultmen. So that would be javelins. There's a few other things that they used. I know javelins. But yeah, like that was basically their specialty. Javelins. Maybe it was the fucking 40 Mike chain belt fed thing.
Oh, the Mark 19?
Mark 19.
Oh, I love that thing. So yeah.
A couple other things. But yeah, assaultmen. So that was like their MOS was taking care of that shit.
Yeah, we didn't have separate MOSs per weapon system. It's just you're a grunt. That's it. Or you're 11 Charlie, which means you're a mortarman.
Yeah,
and that's it.
Separated out.
Yeah, and that's it.
High angle hill.
Yeah, well, and then there's like the 13 series, which is artillery, and
But that's not infantry.
No, but they get fisters or forward observers that get attached to infantry units.
Do you call them fisters?
Yeah, that's what we referred to them as
Because you
fisters.
shove your hand up their ass and you work them like a puppet. Like, why do you call them fisters? I need to know this.
Honestly, I don't know where it came from. That's just what they were called when I got there. So we just stuck with like, oh, hey, we got a new fister. Like, okay, cool. Hey,
Perfect.
how's it going? Welcome. And that's
I mean, I
all
like
it was.
my explanation.
Oh, well, I got that nickname for a different reason, and we'll get to that later.
All right. So you get through OSUT, one station unit training.
Finish Javelin,
Did Javelin school.
come home for Christmas break, and then right back to Fort Benning, Georgia for 3 weeks Airborne School. And in basic, they give you your first duty assignment. Like you get an envelope and it says, hey, here's where you're going when you're done with all your training.
Okay.
And mine was, I was actually going to go to Korea. So I notified my family, made all the plans, like, hey, when I'm done with airborne school, I'm going to Korea. So go through airborne school, which if you can run, you can pass airborne school.
Yes.
I heard earlier we were talking with somebody about like what it all entails, and there's Marines and Air Force and Navy and everybody there. It's, can you hang for 1 minute from a pull-up bar? You don't have to pull up. You just have to hang.
Like with your arms straight?
Yep.
Cool.
You have to hang, and then you have to pass the Army physical.
Yes.
So it's 42 push-ups. This is like everybody 18 to 21. It's like 42 push-ups in 2 minutes, 52 sit-ups, and a 2-mile run in under 16:36. So the core guys smoked the run, smoked push-ups.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. Fucked the crunch, or fucked the whatevers.
The hangings. Yeah, they got screwed on the sit-ups because core has crunches. Yeah, and we're all the way up, all the way down. Yep. So guys would just get dropped out or recycled because couldn't do the full sit-up. But we had a couple, got through. But, I mean, it's literally just, they mentioned previously, you could condense this shit into a week.
Yeah.
It's, hey, here's 1 day, practice how to fall. Here's 1 day, here's how you exit the aircraft. Here's how you wear your chute. Jump. That's it. Get your 5 jumps in. You can do that in 2 days because you have to do a night jump too, I think, which they don't do night. They do it at like dusk, which is way different than an actual night jump, but they count it as one. And they're all Hollywood jumps, which means like no actual equipment on you.
Okay.
So it's the easiest shit in the world. Finish that. And on the last week, they're like, all right, here's all the OCONUS people. So everybody going overseas to different duty stations, and they're calling everybody's name out. And the guy I went through basic with, the guy who like shared a bunk with, is Brown. God, I can't remember his first name right now. But they called him, never called me. And I'm like, so I walked up. I'm like, hey, Sergeant Airborne, I'm supposed to go to Korea. He's like, all right, what's your last name? I go, Bode. Goes through. He goes, no, I don't have you here. Let's check CONUS. Pulls it up. Sure as shit. My name's right there. Opens it up. He goes, congratulations. You're going to the 82nd.
Nice.
So I was dating like a girl in Fredonia who had broken up with me, got the Dear John letter in basic and it happened as soon as I said I was going to Korea. And then I went to North Carolina, and a couple months later I came back, and she's like, well, I have a box of your stuff. And she saw me, and I was like all tan and shit. She's like, oh, you're super tan and in shape. I go, yeah, that happens when you're living in North Carolina. Bye.
Yep.
I'm like, fuck you. But yeah, I went to Bragg, got there, was told not to unpack. I was leaving in 2 days.
Where'd you go?
To a different unit. So,
holy shit.
Yeah. So I was originally part of, so at Bragg, the 82nd has 3 infantry divisions.
Okay.
The 325th Air, they're not a PIR, they're something else. The Blue Falcons. Yeah, red, white, and blue Falcons. That's their names. Then,
Jesus Christ, that's
like the iconic one is the 504th. That's the Devils in baggy pants. So I was put into that brigade. And I get there, and they're like, all right, the following people, go back to your bags. And I was named in there. And I'm like, where the hell am I going now? And they're like, all right, so here's what's going on. And their brigade was in charge of people that were currently in Iraq. But they sent 2 of their 3 battalions and took a battalion from the 505th Panthers. So I got assigned to the 505th. Panthers? Yeah, 1 Panther, 2 Panther, 3 Panther. We called ourselves, I was part of 2 Kitty.
So you're not the Sex Panthers?
No,
Damn
no.
60% of the time, you guys worked every time, though.
Yeah. But yeah, so I ended up over there, and I laughed because the first day I was there, and they're calling everybody's names out, and they're like, all right, the following people go over to this formation, and they're calling a bunch of people. And I'd ran into a guy I knew from Dunkirk who I'd grown up with my whole life, and then I hear him called Perez, and here, and he moves over, and I'm like, motherfucker, this dude's in my unit. He was a cook. paid dividends in our deployment years later because I was like, hell yeah, I got an in with a cook.
Perfect.
So it was cool because at least I knew somebody from like my hometown somehow ended up in the exact same unit, but they all deployed. Now I had shown up on a Tuesday to like their like in processing. Had I shown up on Sunday with him, I'd have deployed. Instead, I got put on rear D and painted fucking barracks for 3 months while everybody was deployed. So then they come back and I'm the shitbag cherry who got out of a deployment.
Yeah,
dude,
no bueno.
Dude, my life was rough for a while. There's another dude, Douglas, who like Saturday mornings he would take a shower at like 4:30 in the morning, and he'd just stand out in the hallway in nothing but a towel, flip flops, and holding a bullwhip. And I'd get up to go take a shower, and he'd just be cracking the whip, like, "Come on, let's go, Cherry. You want a shower? Let's go." And you just had to run through it just to fucking get in the shower. It was like the little bit of hazing, but he ended up being a good dude.
Yeah.
But yeah, got it 82nd, and then it was just training. A lot of jumps, lots of time in the field, lots of time at the range. And garrison life in the 82nd sucks because it's all dog and pony shit. You're expected to be like the 82nd of World War II in the 2000s.
Okay. So because the only thing I know about the 82nd is welcome to Fort Bragg, where even the STDs are airborne.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Fayet-Nam.
Yeah, Fayet-Nam.
Yeah. Fucking weekend spent over at Sharky's or Secrets.
Oh, by the way, I had the most hilarious fucking encounter. Like, after I got divorced and when I was on the dating apps, I was talking to this girl, and she's like a school fucking teacher, and she's from Rochester. She went to school in Fredonia, so we're like talking whenever she like teaches somewhere in Cattaraugus County. And I'm like, you're too far away. But anyways, she started saying something to me that I went, oh, please tell me more. She's like, so the first place where after I graduated from Fredonia and got my teaching license, I was sent to Fayettville, North Carolina. I'm like, what? She's like, yeah, I was sent to Fayettville, North Carolina. I'm like, oh my God. She's like, what? I'm like, listen, you're on the other side of the equation from me and everyone else I've ever fucking met. Please tell me what it was like being approached by 70 dudes to one girl. Was it like heaven for you, or was it like, this is fucking annoying? Like, she's like, oh yeah, I got some stories. I'm like, oh, sister, please tell me. Like, just lay this shit on me. Like, I gotta know. She's like, oh, it was the funniest fucking thing. Everyone was special forces. I've never met so many people that were special forces in my life. I'm like, were they special forces or were they like very special forces? Do you know that Onion News article?
No.
Oh, I'll send it to you. It's from the late 90s and it's fucking amazing. It's called The Very Special Forces. And it's all about Clinton sending the very special forces to Kosovo. And they ride a very specially modified C-130 short plane. So I sent that to her, and she's like, why didn't I know about this when I was there? I'm like, I don't know. This is from like 98, 99. Look at the date on it. She's like, holy shit, it is.
That's fantastic.
She's like, this would have came in so fucking handy. I'm like, I knew about this when I was like in high school.
Yeah, I didn't know shit about like Army, Navy, any service stuff. And then, of course, like I did the DEP thing senior year. Mm-hmm. Granted, so 9/11 had happened our junior year. So that was 2001. And I signed up December of 02. So everything was kind of already kicked off in Afghanistan and going hard. And then March of 03, Iraq hits. So I'm sitting there on computers just glued to every CNN and Yahoo News and whatever video and article I can, because I'm like, what the fuck am I going to get involved in? And like, it's a real war at that point. So I'm expecting that shit. No, not at all what I dealt with when I finally got there. But
when you finally got to Iraq? Or
yeah.
82nd?
To Iraq.
Okay.
So, I mean, the 82nd was like training as if that's really how it goes. And yeah, there were some fun missions and shit. And I'll get to some of that when I get there. But
was training like boot camp up to when you got to your unit, was it more oriented towards Iraq, Afghanistan, or was it like our shit was more like we got the desert digitals in boot camp, but like everything kind of seemed like it was still Cold War oriented.
Oh, for sure. I mean, we had to build foxholes and learn how to
That's necessary.
Right, but for like the infantry thing, like I know Marines, you guys go through like the Crucible. So we go, I don't know if there's a name for it. If there is, I don't remember it. But there's a final training thing. And it's like a week-long training where you essentially live in the woods and deal with Op 4 people, where you get like these.
Oh, that's fucking cool.
Yeah, it's like a simulated war type thing. So you're digging like small fighting positions next to your 6 foot deep actual foxholes that have like, you have to build the spot to put a fire and everything. And in December, we definitely wanted that because it was cold.
Yep.
So there was a whole, like we dug out a whole ass trench system for an entire company of guys. And it was legit like being in World War II, cold. Everybody's just pulling guard in a foxhole. Mm-hmm. And then you're crawling everywhere, no lights at night, no, all that shit. And then it finishes up with like a 12-mile road march through the night. You get in, they do some like grog thing. You get pinned with your fucking crossed rifles. And they're like, all right, cool. You're done. You got a couple more days to clean weapons and do shit, and then you're out. So yeah, no, our training was all more Cold War era training, with occasional mout training, but that was so few and far between.
Explain that and like have people like wrap their head around it when you tell them that. It's like, no, it felt like way more like I explained it to Call like the killing cadences we ran and sang were Cold War about Russians and communists, and just like fucking in Afghanistan for 2 years, and 2003, we were just entering Iraq. Yeah, I remember sitting there with one of my buddies who did the first podcast. Well, let's call him Joe. We had a class together. It was construction class. So it was me, him, one other kid, and then our teacher, Mr. Proper, who had just graduated college. So like we knew him because when we were playing football freshman year, he was a senior. And so then he came back and he was our construction teacher, and he was just like, I hate teaching. I'm joining the Army. So that class was me joining the Marines, my buddy, Joe, I keep wanting to say his real name, joining the Air Force, and Mr. Proper going, I'm joining the fucking Army. Fuck this. He ended up going Ranger.
Did he?
Yeah. And so we'd sit there, and I was working at the Bomber House at the time. So we'd order subs from there because they knew me. I'd be like, this is where you bring it to. And then we'd sit there and like watch whatever news channel we were watching, and watching like the bombs getting dropped in Iraq. And we're like, this is what we're all going to do. We're fucking retarded.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's my thing. I was just like, shit, no backing out now.
Yeah, pretty much. It's like, well, I signed the contract. I gave him my word.
Yeah.
I didn't know that you could go back on your word.
Yeah, neither did I. Until like I'm at MEPS and they're like, all right, well, this is the last chance for you to back out. You're good. You don't have to go. If you want out, you can. And I'm like, I mean, now I'm kind of pot committed here, man. You've got me in a hotel room and ready to fucking leave for basic in 24 hours.
Guy, look at my butthole.
Yeah.
Like I am all in.
Oh, that was the most awkward and just uncomfortable part of that MEPS process, is that old dude just like, all right.
I think I was the only one.
Bend over and spread them.
I didn't get fingered.
I didn't get fingered.
He just, I know so many other people are like, he put the finger in my bum. I'm like, I didn't get a finger in my bum.
Neither did I.
Am I not cute?
Am I too furry?
Maybe. All I know is that, do you remember? It was an old computer animated movie. It was a Final Fantasy movie. There's this old Final Fantasy movie. It's Final Fantasy something. It came out like just before I joined. Secrets of the something. But there was like a doctor in the movie. His name was Dr. Aki Roth. And the MEPS doctor that looked at your butthole looked exactly like that guy. Like down to like the liver spots on his bald head. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I'm like, this is Dr. Aki Roth is looking at my butthole.
Yeah, it was just. I remember MEPS. There's two things I remember from the in processing: having to spread my cheeks for a doc, and then having to duck walk around in my boxers.
I only remember spreading my butt.
Yeah.
The rest of it was like run around, go here, go here, go here, blur.
And then I don't know if you did this, but when I left, so I did MEPS on, I don't even know what day of the week it was, but so I get picked up, driven to Buffalo, do the in processing, and then they put us up in a hotel because our flight wasn't until like the next morning. And I actually know the hotels on Delaware and
Yeah, it's somewhere right there.
yeah, Delaware and North is the intersection. I pass it all the time, near that area. And there used to be a Walgreens next to it. And I walked out. I went over to Walgreens and picked up a pack of cigarettes, fucking cool menthols. I remember it. And I walked out, and some dude that I'd grown up with my entire life, he always lived across the street, was sitting outside smoking a cigarette. And I was like, dude, what the hell are you doing here? And he's just like, oh, my girlfriend's leaving, joining the Army. So I sat up with him and the girl who was leaving and a couple other people that came up. Mm-hmm. And we just sat outside and smoked cigarettes all night until like 3, 4 in the morning before I went in, crashed for like an hour and got on my plane and left. And then I remembered landing.
Did you get like a direct or did you get a layover?
Layover in DC where I could run outside, smoke one more cigarette before I had to get to Atlanta.
I had a layover at LaGuardia, I think. And so, but like it was a long layover. So like we all went there, you know, whoever had the package of whatever to deliver to the drill instructors to get yelled at. And then we met up with like these kids from the New York MEPS. So I met this one kid. He ended up being in my platoon. He was a fucking goober. But he's just like, oh, I love New York City and blah, blah, blah. Everything else sucks. He was one of those fucking idiots. I was like, I ain't gonna have a smoke. He's like, I'll come with you. I'm like, I walk outside and like, I'm just like, holy fuck, this place smells like trash. Like the first time I've ever been to New York City in my life, I'm just like, it's the first thing I say to this kid who's very proud of his city. I'm just like, this place smells like trash. And this fucking sucks. Lit my cigarette. I'm just like, fuck.
Minus my 4.5 years in service, I've lived in Western New York my whole time, or my whole life.
Yeah.
I have no desire to go to New York City. Never been there. Don't ever want to go.
I could not recommend not going there enough. I've been there a few times for work, and every time they send me, it's never to a good part. So I have that bias for me. And if it was a good part, I would probably hate it even more because that would just mean it's busy. And I'm like, I'm trying to do work here, and you people need to get off this fucking sidewalk that I'm tearing up.
Yeah.
And by the way, we're bringing in a drill rig, and we're going to make a bunch of fucking noise.
Yeah, no desire to go there. Just
It's, I don't know how to describe it. It's too fucking much.
yeah, and I think that's why I have no desire to go. Is just I'm not big on a lot of people, and that's my fucking nightmare. Is walking those streets with just everybody there, shoulder to shoulder. I'm like, nah, I'm good.
How are you with claustrophobia?
I can deal with that.
It's a weird claustrophobia because of the buildings being so high, and you're just like, oh, it's open-ish, but not. It's massively different than being in the woods where like you're fully enclosed by trees and leaves, but you still feel very fucking open. In this, you're like, it's open. I know I'm open. I can look up. I can see clouds. If I'm like in the middle of a road, I can look left and I can look right and not see immediate buildings. And then you're just like, whew, too much.
Yeah.
I also had a homeless lady stop 20 feet in front of me, drop her pants, and take a shit in the middle of a bridge while I was walking behind her. I'm like, all right, I'm crossing the road.
I mean, I've had that in Buffalo, but I also saw the same guy who shit, wipe his ass with his hand, and then wipe the shit from his hand underneath the door handle of the car that he was shitting next to, which I was okay with because I knew the people who were parking in the area were all dicks.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, yeah, that's fine. You can wipe your shit under the handle of that Mercedes.
All right, that's acceptable. Yeah.
But then, because this was like, I don't know if you know where Shays is in Buffalo.
Yeah, I've been to a few shows there. Yeah.
Okay, so there's the Main Street side with the big Shays entrance and everything.
Yep.
And then there's the other side on Franklin. On the back side, I think that's Franklin. But it was on the backside because I worked upstairs above Shay's doing collections for like 8-9 months, something like that. And this guy was just a local and like he was a regular in the area. So I saw him shit a couple of times in that parking lot. And then I watched the cops come over and stop him while he was beating his dick in the middle of the day. Because on the backside of Shay's, there's these weird little like window cutout type things, but they're not windows.
Right.
And he curled up in there and just started rubbing one out in the middle of the day.
I mean, when you gotta.
Apparently. So, I mean, that's him and then like one person, which I actually think was that Claire who just recently was run over in Buffalo a couple days ago.
I have no idea.
Yeah, she was like this, I don't want to say homeless based on some of the stuff I saw, but she had like some mental health issues due to like past and current drug use. And I made a wrong turn in a neighborhood in the middle of the night and didn't know where I was, and just pretty sure it was her, just ran up like, hey. I was like, yeah, no, I'm running this red light and I'm not stopping until I hit an actual like street that I know. Like, nothing against you, but in the middle of the night, I'm not helping anybody, man. I don't know what you're doing. I saw her reach in a jacket and I was like, nope, I'm out. But yeah.
What the fuck were we talking about before we got massively sidetracked?
When I joined in time and service stuff. So yeah, I wasn't far from you. I mean, because you were down in Jacksonville.
Yep. That was on the Vial.
Yeah.
Thank you for remembering that.
Yeah.
That was a great paper I wrote.
Yeah. So I was up in Fayet-Nam, and we probably have been within minutes of each other many, many times and didn't know it, because I spent the first few months at Bragg, I spent my weekends at Myrtle Beach.
Okay.
Because I was like 19 years old, and you could go to Myrtle Beach, get a motel room on the very south end of the strip for like $30 a night, split it with 6 guys from your squad or whatever, and then find a homeless guy and give him $20 and a ride, and they'd buy you, whatever you wanted for beer and drinks, and you could just get shitty on Myrtle Beach and, party. And then I kind of was like, yeah, I'm over this. There's too many people. I want to chill. And a buddy told me about spending time in Wilmington.
Wilmington is great.
Yeah. So he met a girl who he eventually married, and then has since they separated and went their own ways. But a friend of theirs, friend of hers, Karen, her family had a 3-story house in Wrightsville Beach.
Oh, damn.
Where they lived on the 3rd floor. Second floor was her grandfather, I believe's old apartment, or like where he lived, so nobody ever went there. And the first floor were 2 fully functional, like in-law suite type things.
Shit.
And her mom was just like, hey, anytime you guys want to come out, doors open. We're like, cool, we'll see you every weekend. We're not training. And we did.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and it was on the bay side, but the actual ocean side was, you just had to walk down the street and then cut across and walk down one of like the public
that's
access.
One of the barrier islands, so you're going like maybe 100 yards.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I spent every weekend in Wrightsville.
Dude, that's fucking tits.
Yeah. So I love it down there. I actually just went I messaged you because you told me to go about that Flaming Amy's.
Flaming Amy's Burrito Barn.
Yeah. Of all the times I've been there, I'd never been there, and I went and I was like, this is awesome.
Yep.
So I know where to go next time I'm there, but.
No, I took the girlfriend when I was down there for New Year's, and we went to Wrightsville and a few other places. Top Sail, like I showed her my old stomping grounds. And, so we went on, did all that stuff. And one of my buddies, who's just retiring now, is moving back in the summer. And I should probably tell a few other people before this goes out to air. But, I'm going to go back down there when he's all moved in and settled, visit my best friend, visit my other really, really good friend who was also my mentor. He's the one who I got to tell. And then also that other dude. So I'm going to bring the girlfriend down in late August, maybe early August, one of the two. But
it's a good time to go.
Oh, I fucking love North Carolina. Dude,
especially that area. There's just something about it. And
Coastal Carolina is the shit.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like my favorite place in the world. So
it's definitely up there for me.
Yeah. So Karen still lives down there.
I don't like it in the middle of summer when you can chew the air.
Oh, God, no. That part sucks. Unless you're on the beach where the breeze blows it away and you can just jump in the ocean because the Atlantic's not freezing cold.
5 minutes away, though. It's
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
because I lived in Holly Ridge, which is really close to South Topsail. So I just had to drive down 3 miles. And so I worked nights. So Wednesday morning, I could go to the beach. It's empty. Go run the beach, go to work, which was fucking awesome. I can't recommend if there are any Marines who ever do listen to this and you're active duty, go run the beach on South Topsail for your PT, then go into work. Because no one's there. Unlike Saturday morning when you go to the beach and it's just filled with every fucking jarhead and their mother because they're like, Mom, come to the beach. And you're just like, this is horrible. There is 7,000 people here and they all look exactly like me. Fuck.
See, that's why I liked Wrightsville. It wasn't super packed all the time. I mean, you'd have families and stuff down there, but it wasn't too crazy. Now, once you got into Wilmington, yeah, it's everybody and their mother looks like me.
Just south, across the river, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why. You put a river in the way.
Yeah, the Cape Fear.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's south. I'm not 100% sure.
Because as soon as you cross that river, you might as well just go to Myrtle. That's the Marine mentality. If you're coming an hour from Jacksonville, if you're going to cross that river, go across those bridges, fuck it, just go another
maybe
hour.
It was about an hour. Because
go to Myrtle.
I don't know if you remember her, somebody who would have graduated with us, Erica Webster.
Yes, I do.
She lives in Jacksonville now.
I'm so sorry.
So I stopped and saw her on my way back up. There was a Bills game, and we went. I watched the first half of the Bills-Pittsburgh game, I think 2 years ago or something like that. Had some food, had a beer, and I was like, all right, well, I can't sit here and keep drinking because, I got 10 and a half hours of driving to do, so nice to see you. I'm out.
Yep.
But, yeah, no, I loved my weekends down there, made a lot of good friends that I'm still friends with today. One of my roommates from Bragg, who's in my squad, shared a barracks room, he got married to a girl. They're still together. They live, I think, just south of Wilmington, Wrightsville area. I'm not 100% sure. I didn't go to their house.
I start losing the names of towns.
Yeah. So, it was good. I saw a bunch of people. I want to go back. So bad and so soon. I just need to get some vacation time. New job means no vacation for a year. So
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I got to earn that time back, but it'll be worth it once I get it.
It's worse once you're at a place for 13 years and you're like, oh, fuck, I got to take vacation.
Dude, so I don't get my ass chewed out. I was at a very large insurance company.
In the Buffalo, New York area?
In the Buffalo area.
Most people won't know what it is we're talking about.
Yeah, for 9 years, just over 9 years. And I loved it when I started. And the last 4 years were hell. At 3 of them, I was literally sitting at this table taking calls. 10 hours a day, 4 days a week, which I couldn't complain too much. I worked Monday through Thursday.
Nice.
But working in customer service is not for me, and I don't ever want to do it again because I can deal with...
You're not a people person.
Yeah. And when somebody starts off hot with you motherfuckers did... I didn't do shit. I sat here and got yelled at by somebody else. I didn't make a damn change. But yeah, 9 years of that. Nah, I'm good. Yeah.
I find with customer service, here's your best bet. Hey, here's my problem. Can you help me? And 98% of the time it's yes, or the other 2% of the time it's this needs to go to my manager. All right, well, I'll wait. Thank you. Is there anything else I can help you with? No, you've been very helpful. Have a great day.
Yeah.
And they're just going to go, whew, thank God I don't have to commit suicide after that call.
Yep. Yeah. Now my job deals with very few to no people, and it's a lot more physically demanding, which is good. I mean, I've lost a ton of weight in the first 3 months working there, so happy with that.
I will say, you do look slimmer since I saw you even a month ago.
Yeah. It's just I'm shedding everything now. Should have seen me in January. It was bad. I was like 330, super lethargic, just awful. And now I'm down to like 275, and at least I put on like 10 to 15, sometimes 20,000 steps a day just in work.
Nice.
So I'm active now, and it's helping.
Yeah, it does.
So, yeah, I mean, back to the Army days. So
you're doing awesome shit in Wrightsville.
Yeah. But I told you I had a roommate there, and my buddy Derek. So at this time, I'm still underage. I think I was 20 years old. So this is 2005. Yeah, it was just before Katrina. So I was in weapons squad. So the way like infantry units break down, you have first, second, third, and a weapon squad. So normal squads are rifleman, grenadier, saw gunner. 1, 2, 3, team
So this
team
is the
leader.
squads in the platoon?
Yes. So these are the squads. So squad's 9 guys.
Yeah.
9 guys. What is it for? Squad leader. Yeah, squad leader, and then
3 dudes.
2 team leaders, and their teams consist. So it's your team leader, your rifleman, your saw gunner, and your grenadier. So those are the 4 per team, and then the 9th guy is your squad leader. So weapon squad's a little different, and this I got into because of that javelin adjustment to my MOS. So that is your 240, your assistant gunner, your ammo bearer, and your anti-tank gunner. So it's the guy that if you ever need an anti-tank system, he's carrying it. So that was my job.
So you got to carry the clue?
No, the hell no. Well, yeah, eventually I did, and I almost burned it to the ground. I'll get to that too.
Yeah, you told me that one before.
Yeah, yeah. So that one was the only time that we had a clue, and I burned a Humvee to the ground on accident. Flare went off.
For anyone wondering, CLUE stands for Command Launch Unit.
Yep.
Nailed it.
Yeah. $250,000 freaking video game system, really.
If it makes you feel any better, hydraulics actuators for the V-22 Osprey cost way fucking more, and they're way smaller.
I heard you talking prices on one of the previous podcasts. I'm like, okay, I'm good. Didn't have to worry about stuff that was that expensive.
Just get way more trouble. We just get to say, sorry.
Oh, yeah. They almost tried to charge me for it. The $250,000 for something that got damaged in a combat zone because my first sergeant hated me because he was an admin guy. I'm pretty sure he was an actual 42 Alpha, which is an admin MOS, who had to replace our prior Delta Force first sergeant who got in trouble for some shit in Katrina. And because I was...
So you went from having an awesome fucking dude?
Yeah, to a paper jockey who didn't know shit about being in the infantry. I was vocal about my displeasure whenever he would like, hey guys, you got to do this. The fuck we do. Like, this is stupid. So... Yeah, he shot me down on a promotion for my E5 before our deployment, and then towards the end of my deployment, they sent me back to the E5 board, and I turned it down because at the time I was considering re-enlisting, but changing my class and going to a different job, and you can't be, I can't remember what the term for was, but essentially you can't be an E5 or higher and completely switch MOSs because you can't be in charge of people who know more shit than you.
Okay.
So I turned it down.
We're the exact fucking opposite. We will railroad you through because obviously we were taking 46 people and bringing them into the V-22 community. And also they were just randomly picking other fucking people where they were like, so you want to re-enlist and this is what's open and we can bring you into here, which brought, if you listen to the episode with Brian Gaston, he was one of my... He was the last staff sergeant I dealt with, and I had so many fucking staff sergeants just like recycling in and through for like a few fucking years into my shop. And I'm just like, I don't have to listen to these people because they're not going to stick around in this shop. And he ended up sticking around, and he was also way more fucking bullheaded than anyone else in there. And I just went, oh, shit. Somebody who gives a fuck. Good.
Yeah. I had to laugh when I saw his name pop up because one of the guys while I was in service was Brian Gaston.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So I was like, hold on, I got to listen to this. And then right off the bat, he talks about how long he served and this, that, and the other. And I'm like, nope, this guy's just a little bit older than the Brian Gaston that I know.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, like the first thing he said when he came to the shop is like, I'm old enough to be your dad. I'm like, how are you still fucking in? He's like, yeah, broken service. I'm like, oh, okay.
That'll do it. But yeah, so anyways, back to Weapon Squad. So they called themselves the Manimal Squad. These guys were all jacked as
Love
fuck.
the name.
They were jacked as fuck. And here I am, like some out of shape, kind of pudgy, brand new E2, E3 at the time, maybe. I don't know. But they're like, all right.
So they set the standard as big dick pipe players.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
These guys, like, it was like you had to be 6'2", 220 and pure muscle to be on that team. And I'm like, what the fuck am I doing here?
Getting ready to take
my
steroids.
5'9", 193 ass, like, shit, I gotta go to the gym. So anyways, it's a Wednesday night at one point, and they're like, we're going out. And I can't remember the name of this place. I think it was called the Palomino. And it was essentially a giant warehouse that they split down the middle. The left side was a nightclub. So oomps shit all night.
Other side country?
Huge line dancing floor, mechanical bull, the works.
Was this in Raleigh?
No, this was in Fayetteville.
Okay, because I went to one in Raleigh and I had a experience where that's where I got this scar when I blacked out.
Oh, jeez. So yeah, Wednesday nights at the Palomino were referred to by all of our E6s and above as church because they went there religiously because it was dollar drink night.
Great reason.
Yeah. So
I approve.
I was asked to go with my squad and be the DD. Said sure, because otherwise I'm gonna get my ass kicked by these guys if I don't say yes to this. I'm a new dude. I got to do it. So we get there, and one of the guys is going to grab drinks or whatever, and he's like, "What do you want?" I'm like, "I'll take a Pepsi." He goes, "What the fuck do you want?" And I'm like, a Pepsi. He's just like, "I didn't ask you what you wanted to drink. What do you want to drink?" And I'm like, I don't get it. And one of them's like, "Dude, what booze do you want?" He's going to get you drinks. I'm like, "Oh, rum and Pepsi?" So I hand the guy like a 20, and he's like, "Yeah, this will do for you for the night." I'm like, "What?" And they're just feeding me. And I'm not driving by any means. I don't remember how we got back. I do vaguely remember we stopped. So Bragg was home of the most physically fit alcoholics in the world, I think was what they claimed to be.
No, that's Camp Lejeune.
Okay.
We can thumb wrestle over this. We'd both lose.
Yeah. So we had a 24-hour liquor store. No closing time. So
I very much approve of that.
yeah,
Was this on base? Or
on
off
base, on post.
Okay, that makes sense because North Carolina laws is not that cool.
Yeah. So I don't know if it's still open. I don't think it is. But so we had a 24-hour class 6. We went in. I remember we picked up a bottle of vodka and maybe some other shit and back to the barracks and continued to drink well into the early morning hours. Mind you, this is a Wednesday night going into Thursday. Thursday means PT in the morning, but usually it meant light PT because all of the squad leaders were hungover from going to the bars.
I like where this is going.
Yeah, so I wake up.
It sounds like they played DD and got you annihilated.
Oh, so fucked up. So our squad leader, Sergeant Walsh, good dude, but man, he rode us fucking hard. He's pounding on our door. Now, formation's not till 6:30, but in weapon squad, if you're not up by 5:30, you're late. So he's pounding on our door at like 5:25. I don't really hear it. And my roommate sits up, opens the door, and Walsh comes busting in. And he's like, "What the fuck? What the fuck, Bode? What the?" And that's all he's saying. And I sit up. He goes, "What the fuck did you do? There's puke everywhere." I go, "I don't know, Sergeant. It wasn't me. Must have been Justice." I point at my roommate, and I fall back down into my bed. And unbeknownst to me, there is vomit just all down the side of my face and my shoulder. Like I'm covered in it. And the last thing I remembered was I felt sick and I didn't want to get the CQ, so the people on duty that night, I didn't want to get their attention because I'm underage and plastered. So instead of going to our bathroom down the hall, I opened up a cooler and puked into the cooler with the smart plan of I'll dump this down the shower drain or somewhere else tomorrow. No, I kicked the shit over in the middle of the night because at one point I pissed myself, stripped down naked, stole my roommate's blanket, kicked over the cooler of puke on the way back to my bed, and went back to sleep.
Holy fuck, that's a great night.
Yeah, it was fantastic. So for punishment, on Thursday, I got to run 8 miles. It was brutal.
Still drunk.
Still hammered. Absolutely plastered. I had no food in me, though, to actually throw up on the run, which was great.
That's always a plus.
Yeah, to the very end, I was like...
realize that that's a good thing.
Yeah, I was like dry heaving a little bit at the end, but then the rest of my punishment was I had to pull every piece of furniture and everything out of that room, clean every piece of furniture, scrub literally the ceiling tiles down to the floor. And this is Army, so it means stripping and waxing the floor too. And then put it all back in and then move and down like away from the rest of Weapon Squad because they were a bad influence.
But you were still in Weapon Squad?
Yeah, still stayed in the squad. I literally moved 3 doors down. And these were
doesn't do anything.
Yeah, these were those shitty, I don't know how core barracks were, but like ours were at the time shitty cinder block fucking buildings with just one long hall and each person had their own, they had a room that they shared with another, which was just one open room.
Right.
And then a community bathroom.
So the barracks that I had at the schoolhouse, not in Pensacola, where I did A school for basic airframes and hydraulics, but the second one where you specialized on your aircraft at New River, Jacksonville, North Carolina. So Marine Corps Air Station, New River. That one was like an original barracks from the base. That one was set up like that. When I went literally down the street, 2 barracks down, to my other barracks, Barracks 4020, fuck yeah. That one was set up brick and all the rooms pointed outside. So there was catwalks. So nothing was like pointed in internal hallways, and you had your own bathroom with one roommate.
Yeah, we eventually moved out of those old shitty barracks. Those barracks don't exist anymore.
But Barracks 4020 was also like one of the older ones. Like that has since been replaced. Now they're, I don't know, like I'm pretty sure all rooms point outwards like motels still, but the 2 rooms will share one bathroom. I know in the newer barracks they do that.
Yeah, that's how ours eventually, to what it turned into. So like we'd each have our own bedroom with its own door, and then we'd have like a bathroom with, you know, toilet and shower, and then they had its own door, and between the rooms and that was like a sink, and then on the other side we had like a small kitchenette and fridge. It was like a mini apartment. It was pretty fucking sweet barracks. Took us a while to get them, but we got them.
Yeah, we didn't got the cool ones like that.
Yeah, I ended up moving down the hall, and that's actually when I started going to Wilmington, is because my new roommate was the guy who was dating somebody down that way. So me getting shit-faced on a Wednesday led to me making really good friends down in Wilmington,
that's like
North
the
Carolina.
Best happy accident ever.
Yeah. So that was like the only time that I got in actual trouble for being a total fuck-up. The only other time
that's not being a total fuck up. That's just getting loaded with the fucking boys.
Forgot. Here's the absolute cherry on top of that story. I got promoted the next day.
Nice.
Yep.
E3 or E4?
From E3 to E4.
Shit.
And yeah, I think it had to be my E4 at that time. And this was before the Army had switched over to the ACU, so I was still in the old BDUs. Yeah.
Fuck yes.
So the whole tradition was you cut like 3 corners of your rank, and then first sergeant rips it off and pins on the new one and throws the old one on the ground. Well, First Sergeant Henderson at the time ripped them off, pinned the new ones on, and went to like throw them down and held his hand, looked at him, looked at me, goes, "I'm going to hold on to these for you. You might need them." And put them right in his pocket. Everybody started dying because at this point, everybody had heard about what had happened. So I was like, Jesus, this is great. The dude was cool as hell. I had 2 really good first sergeants and then 1 terrible one.
That happens.
Yeah. Actually, I ran into him, the one that I didn't like. I ran into him years later. A buddy of mine that served with, he ended up killing himself. And at his funeral, that first sergeant actually showed up. And I kind of was like, you got a lot of balls being here, man. And he apologized. He was just like, look, I was new to the position. You questioning was doing the right thing. And I was just stubborn. And I could have learned so much more from guys like you and been a better first sergeant much faster than what I did. Mm-hmm. So I was like, all right, well, he owned up to being a dick, but he still wasn't the coolest dude that weekend. Our old lieutenant who couldn't make it called the bar we were at and put like a $500 tab on his card and was just like, go ahead and drink, boys.
Nice.
I ended up throwing up on somebody's curtains in a hotel room.
That happens. That's what hotel rooms are for.
This was back before I knew, moderation. It took a long time to learn what that moderation is.
That was a solid 7 fucking years after getting out to actually learn not just like, yeah, okay, I understand the concept. It was like, all right, I got it. Like, I've learned it. I know it.
Yeah. Yeah. It took
Give
me
something that tastes like shit, vodka with tonic, and I will learn to pace myself. And that's how I learned pacing.
Yeah, no, I tried that, and I was like, all right, we'll go gin and tonics. And now I can just drink gin and tonics all night. Vodka tonics. And then I just got used to it.
So you got to go seasons. Gin and tonics is for summer.
Yeah.
But even then, it's, oh, God, they go like water.
Yeah.
Because I also learned this magical little trick. If you read Ernest Hemingway books, he teaches you how to fucking drink. So there's this book called Islands in the Stream. And in Islands, in each Ernest Hemingway book, there's a different fucking drink, which is just like heralded on this fucking platform. And by the end of the book, you're like, I need to make that fucking drink. And he tells you how to make it 700 times. So it's like committed to memory just by fucking reading. So Islands in the Stream, it's called a Tomito, Tomito, after the main character. His name is Tom. And in Islands in the Stream, basically he's just like going around the islands in the Caribbean, kind of looking for German U-boats in World War II, like to see if like they're there and stuff. And he drinks, it's a gin and tonic with this fun little fucking twist. So pull out half the tonic water and replace it with coconut water, and then add a squeeze of half a lime and a couple dashes of bitters. Mix it slightly with the ice, and then wrap the glass in like a brown paper bag or newspaper or whatever, basically just to keep it colder, or like colder for longer. It's fucking amazing. It's like a tropical gin and tonic.
As I look at my bar right now, I'm like, do I have any gin?
I don't see gin. That's Jameson. Oh, no, you got a wee bit of Bombay.
Little baby bottle that somebody gave me, I think, at like a hockey thing.
Yeah. But no, I definitely fucking recommend, if you like gin and tonics, this is the best thing on a fucking hot day. Like, two of them, like, not just to like get, like, I mean, you can get slammed off them if you want to, but like, sit in the backyard with like a pint-sized glass like that of these, and you just be like, God damn, this is fucking good.
So bust out the Yeti tumbler and sit poolside with that. Gotcha.
Yeah, dude.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm going to have to do that.
Yes. And if you want, I will like find the recipe on the internet and I will send it to you. And like, you're just like, God fucking damn it. Yes. I will also recommend the high-end gin Hendrix for this one if you're feeling fucking froggy.
All right.
Because it does make a slight difference. Otherwise, Tanqueray or Bombay is fine.
Yeah. Anything below that is pine sol.
Yeah, basically it's pine sol. Yeah. Military special.
I heard you talk about this.
There's an NJP in every bottle.
Yeah, like I never saw this, but like I was like,
this was literally bottom shelf. You remember Burnett's?
Yeah,
it was like to the left of Burnett's.
Burnett's, Mr. Boston.
Oh God.
Yeah.
I will say there have been many days where in a pinch the only thing left at the PX was Burnett's watermelon in a half gallon, and I've drank that.
Hey, man, Burnett's watermelon and like Sprite, something like that.
Oh, yeah.
Just, it goes down.
So you were in North Carolina, too. Did you have any, like, local boys around, like, stationed with you? Like, they were from local?
So I had a squad leader who originally he was born in Watkins Glen.
Oh, nice.
But as like a baby, his parents moved him to Asheville.
Okay.
Pre becoming what it is now, where it wasn't
Where
always
it's like Asheville.
Yeah. So back when Asheville was like, hey guys, if you're here in the wrong part of town, you might not want to be here late. I was told that I was too dark to go to Asheville because in the summer I get very tan. At least the parts where he would come from. So he would run up there and get shine every once in a while, and we'd get together and do stuff.
I was going to ask if you guys had frog juice.
No.
Oh.
I don't know what the hell frog juice is.
This was my first introduction to Everclear.
Oh, fuck that stuff.
So this was, I don't remember the kid's name, but he was pretty cool. But he would have parties at his house because he was married, so he lived off base. And so we'd all go there I'd go there every once in a while. Other guys went there more. But basically, this is the recipe for frog juice. 1 full bottle of Everclear. 1 3-liter of Mountain Dew. 3 packs of green Kool-Aid. Ice. You couldn't fucking taste the Everclear.
So this sounds a lot like what my medic actually...
By the way, I don't know where he found a 3-liter of Mountain Dew.
I've seen them. Not recently. I don't know if they make them anymore, but the 3 liters used to be a thing.
It was like the weirdest thing to me. I'm like, what?
Yeah. I don't see them often, but I've seen them before. Yeah, my medic, shout out Doc Wise, made this stuff called Hop, Skip, and Go Naked. So
sounds promising.
Yeah, it's 3 liters of... Now, this is, mind you, this is done in like an igloo cooler type thing, like for like football games and shit like that. So it's 3 liters of vodka, an 18-pack of shitty light beer, your choice, and 3, 9, 18. I think it's 9 or 6. I'm going to go with 6 lemonade concentrates. Like the frozen lemonade concentrate.
Like the tube that you get in the freezer section. I love those.
Yeah. And you just mix it together with ice, and it tastes like lemonade. That's it. It is, but legit 1 glass of that, and you're starting to feel pretty loose. 2 glasses within like 30 minutes, you might want to stop for a while because it's going to hit you like a freight train.
Yeah, frog juice was pretty fucking brutal.
Sounds very much like
that. It was at about 4 liters total.
Yeah, but Everclear. Oh, that's what makes the big difference there. That's
Dude,
not...
I brought a bottle of Everclear back. You remember Richie Keppel?
Yeah.
Dude, he loved it. He was like drinking shots of it like it was nothing. I'm like, get the fuck out of here. No, you're not human. This isn't normal.
No, you're not. If you can just down that shit, there's something wrong with you.
But he was also the only person who did not join the military from this area who could keep up with me in shit talk, drinking, and after drinking, housing chicken finger subs. I'm like, I fucking love you.
Fair enough. I got a few tried. For a while, they could hang for a little bit, but then it'd be like, now I really want to tie one on. And they're like, the fuck? I'm like, yeah. It's go time. But there was also a bad point. Like, so I lived when... So you and I ran into each other in college at JCC.
Yep.
I finished JCC, got my 2-year degree in business administration, went to Fredonia, trying the accounting thing, which I hated every bit of that.
Yeah, you don't seem like a counter.
No. I did like 1 tax season working at an accounting firm, like under the table. It was the most boring 4 hours of my life every week. But because it was on the table, the dude paid me bank. So I was like, I'm still going to do it, but I don't want to do this for the rest of my life. So I switched over to like a business, just straight up business major, and then couldn't finish my classes because for some reason they're like, take an elective. We can't get you into this freshman level course. Your last semester of college. And I'm like, yeah, no, put me in this class or I'm done, and walked away. But anyways, during those Fredonia years, I lived on Norton Place.
Okay.
So you know where that is in relation to the bars. It's literally the bar's end, and there's the street. So I could crawl. I worked second shift, and I always scheduled school, so I only had to go to school twice a week, either Monday and Wednesdays or Tuesdays and Thursdays. And this way I could guarantee that I could get hammered like 4 nights a week. And I'd get out of work. I'd fly home. I'd down like a small bottle of Johnny Black and a 6-pack, and then I'd walk over to the bars for 2 hours. I'm like, all right, cool.
Fuck yeah.
Got to the point where I like worked at Muldoon's technically I worked at the Harry Lemon for 1 semester, which then got me very cheap or free drinks when I would go to Muldoon's because I was staff, which was not good for my liver at all.
It's okay. It's healed by now.
Yeah. Actually just had a doctor's appointment. The liver numbers are good. And I'm like, that's shocking. Okay, cool. But yeah, college was a bit of a blur. I drank a lot. Was in like a long-term relationship, and then that's what kept me in Buffalo.
Okay.
And like 6 months into living together, she was fucking around. So that ended, and I was stuck here. Yeah, after like 5, almost 6 years together, I was like, yeah, well, that's my luck. Well, that's why I'm here, and now I'm okay with it. Got some good friends, so.
You got a pretty sweet pad, too.
Yeah. Got lucky with this place.
Yeah, you did.
Decent landlord. Got a pool. Got a backyard. And I'm close
Looks like
enough.
a decent neighborhood, too.
Yeah, good neighborhood. And I'm close enough to being in Buffalo without having to actually be in Buffalo. So it's nice. Everything's within 30 minutes.
Yeah, that's actually pretty fucking good.
Yeah. So yeah, that's pretty much like the rundown of post-Army life. Was got out, went to school, drank away like 4 years that I don't really remember much of. Moved here. And then for 9 years, I sat and took calls, and that was really my life.
And
drinking.
Ready, set, kill yourself?
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh, fuck.
Tried like hockey and shit.
Do you still play?
I just got back into it. I do roller as opposed to ice because ice is harder to find for a goalie, which is shocking.
Really?
Yeah. Like goalies for ice, I'll have like set teams now. Like teams come in when they have a goalie. It's not like roller where it's like, hey, I have a bunch of guys that want to play, but we don't have a goalie. So I can find more time playing roller than I can ice. But I am doing the 11-day power play, so that'll be fun.
Nice.
Yeah. It's like a Thursday noon to 3 shift, so at least it's midday.
For my rollerblades, my hockey rollerblades, because girlfriend's like, hey, do you have rollerblades? You play hockey, right? I'm like, yeah. So I'm looking for them. I found one. I'm like, motherfucker. I'm like, well, I guess I have to buy new ones. So I went looking. I'm like, God damn, those are expensive.
Oh, yeah. Fucking equipment's so expensive now.
Holy fuck. I'm like, Mission doesn't even make fucking inline blades anymore? I'm like,
Bauer bought them out. Or Mission
cunts.
bought out Bauer. One of the two. Something
Probably
happened with
Bauer
that.
brought Mission because I still see Bauer stuff.
Yeah. But yeah, I do that now.
Wait, so Bauer's on its own? It's not Nike anymore?
I don't know how that relationship is working. I don't think Nike's involved in hockey anymore.
Good.
I think they got out of it.
I just hate Nike in general.
Yeah, Bauer had like a rough go for a little bit. So,
because I know Reebok is CCM.
Yep.
With different branding.
Yeah. And then there's like Warrior, True, Bauer, Vaughn.
Okay.
Like the big ones that I know.
But I always just fuck with CCM. They're consistent.
I was always a Bauer kid growing up, so I kind of stuck with it. Now in net, I'm a Warrior goalie equipment. That's like, I've been a huge fan of it. It's comfortable. It's cheaper than the Bauer shit and just as good. So
I liked Warriors sticks and TPSs. They're gone now.
Yep.
I've always been a fan of CCM because they're fucking consistent and fits me well enough. And always wanted to get a pair of graph skates. Oh, I know.
Yeah. As a goalie, that was always like the dream. It was the graph goalie skate.
Graph skates just in general.
Yeah.
You're just like, oh god damn.
But yeah, I didn't play
Because like
super
they will
competitive.
like do every foot shape and all the things, and I'm just like, I could be so comfortable in those.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I bought like the cheapest ice skate that was available at the time, some Bauer Reactor or something or others, the lowest end possible. So I have those. Like I have all the shit for ice. I play once a year unless I can find ice time. I was in a men's league for a while, but then COVID hit, everything kind of stopped, and then I tore a hamstring because I'm fat and I tried to run for a charity football game.
Oh.
Yeah, tore it right off the bone.
Oh.
Yeah, it was a fun pop. I'm like, legs aren't supposed to do that. But got back into it this year. I played Summer League last year. It was fun, so I decided to do the Summer Roller this year.
Okay.
I don't do Winter Roller only because the closest league is in Lockport, and that's a 45-minute drive.
Yes.
And I'm not doing that in the winter for games that are Sunday nights at 10 o'clock.
I don't blame you.
Yeah, so like tomorrow I have a game at 10.
Don't advise in the winter crossing from the south towns to the north towns at 10 o'clock at night.
Right.
And then coming back because you don't know what the fuck's going to happen.
There's going to be a snow
That
band
fucking
somewhere.
band.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like you might be driving into a blizzard or you might leave and it's fine here. You get there, it's fine. You come back and then, there's 4 feet of snow.
Yeah. No, I was working Rochester just prior to the pandemic. So like the pandemic kicked off and like my site was ending. And that winter was pretty mild, but still that entire fucking winter living in Fredonia, I would drive to Rochester and back every day because fuck it, I want to sleep in my own bed. I've been in a hotel room long enough.
Yeah.
And I'm like, whatever, it's only an hour and a half. Pros and cons to that.
Yeah.
Mainly leaving my house by 5 to get there by 7. Not advisable. Getting like 4 hours of sleep a night.
Right.
Basically enough time to like get home, eat, go to sleep. It wasn't the best.
No.
But it was better than anything else because it was pretty cool because I'd wake up early, the dogs would wake up with me and I'd walk the dogs and then they were good for the day and I just didn't worry about anything. But yeah, there was a few the asshole puckering days of driving through from Rochester to the south towns of Buffalo. Because as soon as you get past the south towns, shit's pretty easy.
That's what you'd think, but lately, this past winter, North Towns got hit way harder than we did here in the South Towns.
Like I said, as soon as you get past the south towns.
Well, no, that's what I mean. Like past here, usually this is where like all the shit is, and then you're saying North Towns were worse?
I'm saying through Buffalo proper, it's pretty fucking bad, and then it starts tapering off, and then after you're past the south towns, it's massively clearer and a lot more manageable, unless there's like the freak wind blowing it here. But even still, like, I guess there was that one where, fuck, it must have been 2014 or 15.
Oh, that's November type storm?
No, it was after that, but there was the one where it was pointed at Erie, Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
So, like, an hour past fucking Fredonia, and, like, my aunt was there, and she was supposed to come to my house for Christmas, and, like, it was hairy for her getting here, or getting to there.
Oh, yeah, okay.
But, like, as soon as you got past Fredonia, even closer to Silver Creek, like, it was clear. Mm-hmm. But, like, Erie was pounded with, like, the 5 feet. Fredonia got, like, the normal, like, whatever we'd get from, like, the leftovers of whatever Buffalo would get. So we had, like, the 2 feet, and it was beautiful, and, like, just, like, and whatever. But, yeah, that was the year Erie got pounded instead. It's just the way the wind's blowing off the lake.
Yeah, it is. It's on Lake Erie. Just fucks this area.
It's bipolar.
Yeah. But
Lake Erie's bipolar, just like everyone around here.
Yeah. Not wrong, man. But you know what, though? Lake Erie is weird because growing up with it right there, and then dealing with people from around the country, I'd never realized how much we took having a giant body of water for granted.
Yeah.
Like, people are like, oh, yeah, I've never been to a beach. And I'm like, a beach? Or you mean like the ocean? And they're like, no, I've never seen a beach. And I'm like,
do you know how many times I've told people I live by Lake Erie, one of the Great Lakes, and then like continue the conversation. Something else happens, and then I bring up the lake again, and they're like, "What lake?" I'm like, "Lake Erie." I literally just fucking said it 2 seconds ago. What other lake would I care about? They're like,
Chautauqua.
they're like, Lake Erie? I'm like, do you know the Great Lakes homes here in Ontario, Michigan, Erie, and Superior? They're like, oh, yeah, I guess. I'm like, like the Northeast.
See,
Like,
we
blows
say the
people's
Northeast, but it
mind.
runs from, the Midwest over too. I mean, because Illinois and all that stuff.
Do you know we technically live in the geographic Midwest?
It's weird. Like, so.
The beginning of the Midwest starts west of Buffalo, New
Yeah.
York.
And it's weird.
Follows to just east of Kansas City. I'm like, holy fuck, I live in the Midwest.
Yeah, so it's I can't remember who it was. I think it was like the You Betcha guys or something like this. That like they have this segment on their podcast where it's like, "Are you part of the Midwest?" And somebody brought up Buffalo, and they're like, "Well, state your case," and like explained like we got tons of woods, small cities, lots of drinking, terrible weather, and like broke down what it's like, and the guy's like, "Yeah," and then they're talking more. And the guy's like, and I'm listening to you right now, and you sound like you're a cross between Boston and Chicago. And I'm like, God damn it, we are.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, Buffalo's part of the Midwest. And I'm like, yeah, that makes sense.
Also, geographically, like along Lake Erie, like that coast. So then that turns into the Ohio Farm Valley. So
Like all the shit past Cleveland.
yeah, well, even along Cleveland and then
Yeah.
south and down towards Columbus.
Yeah.
Like we're part of like that valley. Like my dad was telling me, it's like, yeah, like because we're part of this and like all that. I'm like, holy fuck, we are.
Yeah, we're
I'm like,
less.
we're the Midwest.
Yeah, we're not New York. We're in the state of New York, but how many
Also-
times when you said you were from New York when you were in the service, they were like, oh, New York City, that must be great. And you're like, yeah, no. It takes like 8 hours to get there.
Yeah.
I'm almost as far away from New York City as you can possibly get in the state.
Yeah, no, we literally are.
Yeah.
Ripley is the farthest point from New York City, still in New York State.
Yeah, and that was, 30 minutes south of Fredonia, if that? Not even.
State line's 20 miles.
Oh, shit, yeah. So, yeah. I forget Ripley's like that close.
Yeah.
It just always seemed farther as a kid, but I guess it's because I never drove or went over that way.
My parents were from Erie, so I went to Erie
Fair.
constantly.
Yeah.
I know Erie way better than I know Buffalo. Still to this day, it's scary. I'm just like, oh yeah, it's just right over here. We do this.
Yeah, I know Peach Street, State Street, and somewhere in Erie is a really cool brewery. So if you're ever down there, Lavery Brewing Company.
Okay.
Good beer, good food. And it's like a hole-in-the-wall place. Found it on like some random... No, we were on a trip down to Pittsburgh for a hockey tournament, and the guy driving was just like, I have 3 breweries I want to check out on the way. We spent 4 or 5 hours at Lavery and never made it to another one because it was so good.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So, highly recommend. It has like a pizza joint right next door to it, too.
Oh man.
Yeah. But the food...
You know my love for pizza.
Yeah. But the food at that place, they had a seared ahi tuna taco.
You said all sorts of words that I love.
Yeah. So...
Seared, tuna, and tacos.
Yep. So I don't know if they still have it. I haven't been there in a while. I usually try to go every March because they have the best Irish red I've ever had.
Ooh.
Yeah. So it's like called Patty's Irish Red, and they only make it during March. So I try to get down there and go buy a growler each year if I can.
It's a little past March right now, bro.
A little bit. I didn't get to go this year. I had a plan to, and then stuff with the Ma Dukes happened, so did not make it down there. So maybe next year.
That's acceptable reasoning.
Yeah. Life, it happens.
But I do want to hear again, because I really like this story when you told it to me last time, your night jump where you lost your parachute.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So plenty of jumps. That was also the only...
Was this schoolhouse?
No. This is well after. This was one of my last jumps.
Okay.
Pre-deployment, but because once I got... Yeah, no, because it was definitely pre-deployment, because as soon as I got back, I was stop lost and I got out.
Okay.
So it was my first jump out of a C-17, and I fucked up and forgot that there's an extra step on a C-17. Normally on a C-130, your leg gets out that door and the jet blast, you get washed right out. The C-17, I like jumped and I was like, oh, I just cleared that step. So I'm going down, you do the 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 in your head. And I'm like 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 thump, and landed on someone's parachute. So I don't know how I ended up directly over top of somebody, but I did when I jumped out. My parachute never even opened at that point. So I slid down their chute, got my feet caught up in their suspension lines. So I'm falling now upside down, head towards the earth, and this isn't a full kit jump. So I have a full ruck and a saw attached to me. And that's like pretty much from your gut to your knees. Now I have to do a full sit up while falling. And this was a low jump. It's not a 500-foot combat jump, but it's sub 1,000 feet. I think we were like floating around the 800, 900-foot mark for where we jumped from. So you don't have a ton of time. So finally I do get my feet free and I'm falling back to the earth. I see the guy falling. He had opened up his reserve as well. So he's got 2 functional chutes. I don't have a single one. I reach for my reserve and my chute opens, like my primary. So okay. I'm like, all right, I'm good. So I grab my suspension lines and I start bicycling and trying to get the twist out. Twist is out. I'm like, okay, I'm coming in hot, but I'll be okay. I'm still like 200 feet off the ground. We're good. And rule of thumb is when you get about 100 feet off the ground or treetop height, you drop your equipment. When you do that, you usually feel like a tug, and that's it. You kind of bounce. Well, I dropped my equipment, and I just heard, whoosh, and I lost all air underneath my chute. And at that point, I was way too low for my reserve to even deploy. So out loud, I yelled, feet and knees together, asshole, and I blacked the fuck out. And apparently burned in from right around 100 feet, hit like a rocking chair like you're supposed to, apparently did like the perfect PLF, flipped up, like bounced up like 4 to 5 feet in the air, and then landed on my side. And I woke up to, I told you about him earlier, Sergeant Walsh, running up like, hey, you okay? And yeah, no, I walked away. I was good. I went to sit up. He slammed me down. Probably not the smartest for either of us. Did the whole I
understand where he's coming.
Oh yeah, yeah. So I did the whole like, all right, left hand fingers are wiggling, right hand fingers are wiggling. Neck moved enough I could see my toes. Wiggled my toes, and I'm like, yeah, I'm good. He's like, do you know what happened? And he then told me like about the bouncing and everything, and then we heard screaming. Ran over the guy who had both of his parachutes open, Lieutenant Brooks, was freaking out and was running when he hit the ground, and he hit with his legs separated and one straight down.
Oh my God.
Tib, fib, femur, fractured pelvis, and a couple of like compound fractures, something. His back was all jacked. So he got medically discharged after this jump. He could not serve anymore. Thing about Lieutenant Brooks is the dude would always come into the barracks and be like, hey, who's got a Newport for me? So I bought this dude a pack of Newports. He was in the hospital for so long. I finally opened the pack. The day he showed up, I had just lit the first cigarette out of that pack. And I was like, motherfucker. I was like, hey, sorry, here's the rest of this pack. But yeah, burned in and then went and did like another week-long training process or something or other. I can't remember how long it was. Probably had a mild concussion, but medics cleared me in the field. So they're like, yeah, no, you're good. I'm like, all right, cool. Fight on.
Holy fuck.
So yeah, I can say that I have fallen from an airplane and survived.
Yeah, that's one way of fucking doing it.
Yeah, it's my fun fact whenever I got to tell somebody a story.
What's a fun fact about you? I've fallen from an airplane and lived.
Yeah.
Holy shit. And that's military-grade equipment.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's back to that GT score.
Yep.
Riggers have one of the lowest GT requirements. The people who pack chutes. Their GT requirement, from what I recall, is significantly lower than infantry.
Really?
Yeah. And I'm like, really? These guys need to... But then you think about it, though, it's like folding laundry. It's really all it is. You lay out the chute, and you just have to fold it the right way. So it should be easy, but they find ways to mess it up.
One of my buddies, who was also in one of the small shops at the unit, was his actual job was a parachute rigger. That's what it's called, but it's many other things. So he worked in the flight equipment shop. But more often what they did was what's called stitch bitch. Like, he would sew things. So he'd like sew the patches to the Velcro for you when you needed it. Seats of the aircraft, you probably remember them being insanely comfortable with their tube frame and the fabric sewn onto it.
Oh, yes.
That part of the aircraft you would take care of also, and seatbelts. So things like that. The seatbelts are stitched together. Like,
Who the fuck uses a seatbelt?
Pilots.
Oh, yeah, I guess so. That makes sense. Mm-hmm. I was never in for a landing when I was in the Army, man.
It's understandable.
I landed in Germany on the way in, then Kuwait, and then Iraq.
But yeah.
So yeah,
he did absolute zero parachute rigging, but his job was a parachute rigger.
Yeah, that does explain a lot. It's a perishable skill. Anything in the service really is if you don't do it long enough.
At the 82nd, you're probably going to be packing air parachutes every
you would think. There's a lot of birds that go up for people to just fall out of, so but who knows?
How often do those things do you guys do whatever the fuck you call it?
So it's required
once a year, once a quarter?
Jumps?
Yeah.
No, once per quarter is requirement to maintain your airborne status, so that way you get your extra pay.
So you're doing them once a quarter?
That's the minimum. You usually do one a month. So 82nd is weird. They work in what are called DRFs, Defense Readiness Forces. Essentially, there's a bunch of phases. It's like 1 through 9. So your DRF 1 means you are an actual readiness phase where because the whole 82nd thing is you have to be 18 hours wheels up to anywhere in the world.
Yep.
So if you're there, you're only jumping once per quarter. So while you're on that one, you jump just to maintain your airborne status. DRF 2, you are support. So you're probably jumping monthly for training and stuff.
Okay.
And then DRF 3, you are training. So you're definitely jumping at least monthly while you're on that. So it's like you'll go 3 months where you jump, 3 times. Next quarter, you might get like 2 jumps. Next, you'll get 1 jump and then another 3 jumps. So I was in for 4.5 years. 15 months of that was deployed. And when I cleared officially, I think I had 27 jumps on paper, but I had a handful more jumps than that because every once in a while you'd go to like a Saturday fun jump and you would just jump. And if you didn't bring your own jump logbook, it never got logged.
Okay.
So I had a few extra jumps in there, but 27, I think, recorded in like 3 years. So what is that? 36 months, 27 jumps. That
it tracks.
Yeah, it's about right.
Yeah. No, I didn't know how the hell that worked.
Yeah, as long as you jump once per month, you're good. Because if you're close to that 90th day, they start throwing your name onto just any jump, and you essentially jump with any unit.
Okay.
And they make you just a hop and pop Hollywood jump. You're usually the last one off the bird. You don't go do their mission. You walk over to like a staging area and try to hitch a ride back to your base, like to your company area.
Yep.
And that's just so you can maintain status. That's like a few of those were like the unrecorded ones for me, where it's like, hey, we have like 5 slots for this jump. Who wants in? These 2 have to go. And we're like, yeah, sure. What the hell? I got nothing going on that day.
Nice.
Or I don't want to have to go and do another PowerPoint thing or clean weapons pointlessly all day. I'll go jump.
Yeah, I fully support that.
Yeah. So it's like, hey, it's going to be 75 degrees, sunny, and this is a Hollywood day jump. Yeah, sign me the fuck up. I'm in.
So, yeah, I would definitely do that too if I was able.
You telling me I don't have to like walk 6 miles to do some training where I sit and sleep in the woods for 2 weeks and then have to like walk the however many miles back to our unit because our first sergeant's too hardcore hua to be like, hey, yeah, let's bring in some trucks for these guys. No, you're fucking walking back.
Yes.
Yeah, that was that fucking prior Delta dude. We weren't allowed to have trucks anywhere. On range days, he would find a close range, and our PT would be the ruck march to the range.
I thought you were going to say run.
No, didn't really do too many ruck runs, but because it was like company level or like that, so that's kind of hard to do. So you get like 136 people just walking down the side of the road out through like past all the security gates out into the range areas. All right, guys, set up your shit. Just like put it all in formation, and the ammo's being dropped off for us at some point, sometime this morning. We're like 2 hours of just waiting for ammo.
Jesus,
because 6:30 start and ammo's dropped off by like a DOD person. Yeah, he's like, yeah, no, my day started at 9. Fuck you, and they're like, yeah, must be nice, man.
It is. That's what he's thinking. He's going, it actually is very nice.
Yeah, because he didn't have to walk there. He drove his own truck or brought somebody and unloaded a bunch of shit that he didn't actually have to unload. He had us do it because, that's our job. And he's like, all right, cool. I'll be back to pick up all the brass later. All right. So.
God, it's free ammo.
Yeah. I haven't shot in so long because I'm like, now every fucking squeeze of that trigger is just cha-ching, cha-ching. I'm like, oh man, this is expensive.
But it's a perishable skill. You got to do something.
So I do enough to be like, all right, cool. I'm on target. I got an AR that I take to the range every once in a while, but I do archery way more often.
Archery is going to keep you way more fucking probably dialed in than going to the range every week.
Potentially. I mean,
I could argue it would.
It's very much the same thing. Sight picture, trigger squeeze.
Yeah, sight alignment, sight picture, trigger squeeze.
Yep.
You're actually keeping way more stable and probably focusing on your breath even better.
Yeah. Because if you don't breathe when you're doing that, your whole body starts shaking. And that's like 20 seconds. And actually, if you're holding back for 20 seconds,
you're doing great.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. You're definitely going to hit something. No, I actually have. So this coming weekend, Thursday morning, I'm leaving for Seven Springs, Pennsylvania, to do the Total Archery Challenge. So me and my buddy Rich, if you want to check it out, we have our own Insta page that we are horribly inactive on. Reality Check Outdoors.
Dog shit at that.
Yeah,
I still like it when you
so
post
bad.
something.
Like we post a ton this time of year, and then during hunting season, and that's about it. But yeah, Reality Check Outdoors, and we're going. We got his buddy that he works with, Chase, is coming with us this year. So we're doing a shoot on Friday morning. And Sunday morning are the ones we paid for. But if you go after 1 p.m., sometimes they'll let you do another, like one of the courses for free. You don't have to pay for it.
Nice.
So Saturday we're going to go they have like this huge like vendor village. And I think there's like 90 some vendors that are going to be there this year. So we're going to go check it all out. Yeah, because we started in like 21, so it was a year post-COVID hitting, but it was still very much COVID restrictions.
Yep.
So slowly but surely there have been more vendors, and this year there's supposed to be a ton. Seven Springs is one of their biggest events in the country from what we were told last year by some of the guys working it. But it's cool. I mean, you take a ski lift up a mountain, they drop you off, and you just hike. And it usually takes about 3 to 4 hours. You cover a couple of miles, and you just hike, get to your spot, take your shot, retrieve your arrow, hike to your next spot, take a shot, and just you do it in like, I think it's groups of like 8 or something like that. So it's a fun time. You get to meet some cool people from all over the country.
Nice.
It kicks the shit out of me, which is also why I wanted to like lose a bunch of weight, because last year I did it at like 315 and thought,
I remember you talking.
I thought I was gonna die.
Fucking weight for this.
Yeah. That was the whole like reason the Instagram thing became a thing, is because I was like, it was 2 years ago, so 21.
Yeah, I remember when you first started. It was basically like fat shaming into getting back in shape.
Yeah, it's exactly what it is. I came up with the idea in Wilmington.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I had just so I drove to Wilmington. I drove through the night. I was planning on sleeping in like a rest stop or something in my truck for a few hours.
Yep.
Could not fall asleep to save my life, so I just, all right, fuck it, I'm just gonna drive. So I parked. It was like 90 degrees, super humid in September. Right on Cape Fear is where I stayed. So like where actual like Wilmington and all that is, there's like that long walk along the river walk.
Yes.
So I got an Airbnb right on that. And so I parked on a city street, paid for parking for a couple hours because I got there is like 9-10 o'clock in the morning, but my Airbnb wasn't open until like 3. So I'm like, what do I do for 5 hours? So I walked. And I was so out of shape. I put on a ton of miles. I actually walked so much that my shoes broke that day. So I had to get back in my truck and drive to find like a shoe depot or something to get a pair of shoes for the weekend. And finally I was just like, all right, I'm dying here. I'm like, I don't want to eat or drink anything right now because I know I'm going to have to use a bathroom and I can't even get in. So I got a hold of like the Airbnb and got in there. But I was sitting there in the AC and I'm like, all I did was walk and I'm dying. I got to get my ass in shape. And that's where I came up with like, Rich and I had discussed something and that's where it was like, no, this is where I'm actually going to do it. And I just created it while I was there. And I'm like, all right, we're going to get on it. And I've been absolutely dog shit on doing it.
That's okay.
But I mean, maybe people will listen. Maybe people will be like, hey, dude, post some shit. So,
hey, show us the last deer you shot. Show us your grouping from this week. And then you can compare them to that hot girl that we follow on Instagram, too, that does the archery.
Oh, yeah.
I forget her name right now. Damn, she's good.
Yeah, wife goals. She does it with traditional archery, too. No sight, no nothing.
know.
It's just a recurve and feel and lots of practice. That's a skill I wish I could get in, like, or had. But that's when I was like, I got so many hobbies now. If I tried to get into recurve, that it would just...
Yeah.
That'd be rough.
Let's
stick with my compound, which actually is probably getting, yeah, I have tack. We leave Thursday morning.
Yep.
My bow is getting adjustments made to it tomorrow.
Oh.
So I can reach out a little bit further because the thing with tack is you have shots anywhere from 30 to 120 yards.
Jesus.
Yeah. And my bow is sighted into, I think I was good at 90 yards. I was putting my arrows within 2-3 inch group at 90. So, I mean, I was very pleased with the results.
I would be very happy if I could do that.
But I got to add 30 yards. And my bow, the current setup, has, like, I have the right arrows and the bow is strong enough to do it, but my sight sits too low. So I have to make an adjustment and give myself more clearance for my arrow to actually be able to go on that angle. So, yeah, I need to learn more about how to do bow work, but I also don't want to have to spend all the money on getting my own bow press and doing all that when I can go to shops. And the guy that I normally would go to, I called him the other day. I'm like, hey, Ike, you open tomorrow? He's like, nah, man, summer hours, and I'm going on vacation. And I'm like, shit. He goes, yeah, I'm actually here till like another hour. And I'm like, I have hockey in 25 minutes. I'm not going to make it.
Yeah.
So my buddy Rich has taken my bow and it's actually at his house. I took it there Saturday so I could make sure that I was good at long distance. And I took like 4 shots at 90 and it was like, or 5 shots. One was low, trying to figure out where my actual distance went. One was high, one was low, bracketed it in. I'm like, all right, this should be about right. 1, 2, 3, 4, all right together. He's like, fuck you, dude. And I'm like, hey, man, I don't know all the technical shit, but I'm a trigger puller, dude. I can walk shit in, and I'm good at pulling triggers.
Yeah.
Like, you can teach me and show me how to do all the other stuff, and I'll learn it slowly but surely. But one thing I know how to do is pull a damn trigger. Well, squeeze, technically.
Pretty much.
Yeah. I'm a point and shoot guy. So you mentioned the Mark 19.
Yeah.
I got to fuck with that during my deployment. I was like one of the only people that got to actually ride in a truck with the Mark 19 on it. I got to fire it in quote unquote combat. We heard somebody take some pot shots. We were essentially sitting waiting for like an IED to be dug up.
Did you send a burst or did you give them hell?
Oh, I sent a couple bursts because I was actually in the truck with my CO.
Oh.
And so all these Iraqi army guys they're outside of us, and our trucks are in like the inside of this thing right next to like an Iraqi police checkpoint that somehow had a huge like 20 by like 10 yard spider web IED pressure plate system put in with a ton of like 155s, and we're like, oh, cool. So you mean the thing that has where your spotlight is showing all night, somehow someone just magically put this in.
Bunch.
Yeah. Yeah.
While you weren't looking?
Yeah, right. So obviously somebody knew something. But anyways, we're sitting there while EOD was trying to uncover that, and they're oohing and awing it like, oh crap, this is pretty intricate. And then all of a sudden we just hear this, and the Iraqi army guys go crazy. I saw one guy with an RPK is their machine gun, right? Something like that. PKM, whatever it is, like the big.
PKM is basically, from what I understand, it's like a 300 Win Mag belt fed.
Their equivalent of our 240.
Okay.
Whatever that is. I watched the dude go straight Rambo, shoot from the hip, do a combat roll,
nice,
pop up onto a knee and shoot again into nothing.
I approve, though.
Yeah, it was awesome. So we're laughing. And like we start seeing like they're concentrating their fire into like this field area, and we had Kiowa support overhead.
Okay.
And they're like, okay, well, we don't see where they're shooting. Female pilot. And she was very hesitant to go over there and like just to put rounds into a field. She's like, well, we don't see anything. We don't know where they're shooting at. We don't know where they're shooting. So he's like, Bode, light up the area. And I go, distance and direction, sir. I didn't know where they were shooting. I couldn't really tell. I'm like, I need a distance and direction. He goes, just shoot it over there somewhere. I'm like, okay. Thump, 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 thump. Let out 4 rounds that went anywhere from like 150 to 300 yards. And I know there was a village over there, so whatever happened after that was beyond me. Right. And he goes, what the hell are you doing? And I peek my head through the hole in my turret, and I go, distance and direction, sir. And he goes, 150 yards, 11 o'clock. I go, thank you. So then I just start lighting this area up. Kiowa is literally sitting maybe 15 yards above me. I'm like getting washed out and everything. And they're like, do you see where the barrel of the Mark 19 is pointed? Yes. Do you see the explosions about 150 yards out? No.
How?
There's dust clouds, and I'm lobbing 3-4 rounds at a time.
Was this at night?
Daytime. Middle of the day.
Miss them?
Don't know. And finally, our CO was like, get the fuck out of my airspace and send somebody in who can see. And literally told the Kiowas to leave.
Sweet.
So, yeah, it's the only time I got to shoot it in, during my deployment, but it was fun. I mean, I just lobbed them wherever the fuck I wanted for the first one. But, yeah, I mean, when I ask for distance and direction and you just say just shoot, I'm just going to let rounds fly and have some fun with it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. So
what did he expect?
I don't know.
I'm not a mind reader. You sound like my ex-wife, sir.
But yeah, that's why I was like, dude, distance and direction, and I will gladly lay rounds wherever. But
I wasn't even married before. If I would have been in at that time, and I still would have said, you sound like my ex-wife.
Yeah. He had some opportunities. He became a good CO by the end, but he was kind of new at the time, and Captain King he ended up being pretty cool. But yeah. I mean, that was like during our deployment. So I was in Samara, which it's like a midway point between Tikrit and Baghdad. It's also equidistant to Fallujah.
Okay.
To the east of Fallujah.
What time frame is this?
So I was there pre-surge. I went August 06 to November 07.
Okay.
So we were there, like, Tikrit was like 40, 50 miles north of us, and that's where they did like Saddam's hanging, and I was in country during that.
Yes.
I was in country during like the surge, but Samara was just like the swing point. So you had a lot of people driving through who would just kind of like, on our way, we're going to drop like an IED here or there. So we didn't really get involved in too much. I was not on it. I got pulled literally as the birds were coming in to go do like KP or some shit. But my unit did hit up like a training facility that had like 10 terabytes of information. The guy who took my spot got shot like through the hips.
Damn.
Yeah. The only other time I got pulled off a mission, the guy got killed in my turret. They ran over double stacked anti-tank mines.
Holy shit.
So driver and gunner were both killed, Cheney and Bicknell. And like Miquelon was fine. I mean, he got shot through the hips.
Yeah.
My buddy Scott, he took one in the shoulder at that point. Those were all from my platoon. We lost the ACO 7. So it was Cheney, Bicknell, Dunn, Harrigan, Millard, and Wink and Cerrone. So Lieutenant Cerrone was like our only officer. But yeah, we lost like 7 guys in our 15 months. Anti-tank mines, ID, VBID. So yeah, it was all kind of quick too. It was like November 06 through May 07. I think that was, because I think yesterday, within the last few days, marked 15 years. So that would have been 07, 16 years since Don Harrigan and Millard were killed over there. But yeah, it was 15 months. That part of it sucked. But for the rest of it, I mean, it was kind of fun.
Okay.
A lot of it was just route clearance shit. It's like, the best way to describe it was the way that it was put to me on my first day in country. So we landed, and then they're like, okay, hey, you're going out on like a ride along.
Okay.
And I'm like, okay, cool. What are we doing? And he goes, well, one of two things are going to happen today. We're going to find IEDs, or they're going to find us.
All right.
And that was 15 months of that. We did a few fun things. We did get to do like a couple quick hits with some SF guys where we pulled, like we would cordon off the area. So it was
exterior security.
Yeah. So it was like Black Hawk in, touch and go, just hop off, pull the security. They'd hit the house, hop back on the birds with whoever they decided was coming with us and go. Did that a few times. Did find like a training facility. We took like 12 guys in. Technically we took 13. One happened to be a passing traveler, but I did get to do the like the trial for them.
Yep.
So I'll always say this. My best vacation ever was Baghdad, Iraq. Because I got to go to the Green Zone September of 2007. I was there for September 11th. Me and a couple buddies held the flag and led the parade through Baghdad.
Nice.
Oh, yeah. We made friends. So by making friends, we were there for 3 weeks for one day of trial because we were in such a small fob, we couldn't get flights out. It was the point where our XO flew in to come get us and had to wait a week and a half with us to get back.
Holy
Because he
shit.
thought we were lying. We're like, no, we're at the flight line every morning, 5 a.m., asking for flights either going to Brassfield Mora or Spiker, which were the two. Like, I was at Brassfield Mora, and Spiker was the next biggest one a little bit north of us where we could at least hitch a ride in like a convoy down.
Yep.
Couldn't get flights out at all. So we found ways to entertain ourselves, and Saddam had a pool, so we swam in his pool, pissed in his bathrooms. We made good friends with the girl who ran the MWR.
Nice.
And then my buddy threw ping pong playing at poolside. There's a lot of plosive P's there.
Yep.
It ended up being Petraeus's one of his advisors, because Petraeus was running the show then.
Yeah. Because he developed coin counterinsurgency.
I don't know what all he did. I just know he was running everything over there when I was there. The whole politics of it and all like the generals and shit, I never paid attention to that. I should have. I mean, like, they are the guys who were telling me what I had to do.
Level 1 of like, if you go like level 1 through 4, because that's how maps are laid out. So I'll say like, oh, it's like level 1 at this, like level 1 knowledge of like a lot of that stuff.
I might have
mildly followed it. I know the names and just like important dates and events and like shit like that.
Yeah. I might have known a little bit more then, but yeah, not much survived those years of drinking.
Yeah, that's also true.
So speaking of, while there in the Green Zone, met this dude who told us one night, just, hey, find a place to hide your weapons, get civilian clothes, and meet me over here. So we met up with him. He took us over to the British side of the Green Zone, because the U.S. are the only people who can't drink if you're active duty service. Now, if you're part of vegetable soup over there, you can drink all you want. They had a bar. So we did end up going to the bar. We just had to say that we were there for the marshal's birthday. I did not give an actual name because I'm like, every one of you are either FBI, CIA, ATF, marshals, you're something, because we made friends with ATF guys. I don't remember how that happened, but they took us around and gave us like a trip. Like
There's ATF there?
Yeah. HEF was there, and they gave us a tour of the green zone and the whole like Saddam's parade field. They showed us. They took us over there. There were pictures of us like holding, our M4s up in the air like Saddam did when he was like shooting his AKs and shit. So we went there. We went to the bar. We got hammered, and then we went and met up with. We went to the British Embassy and we did like a trivia night and got hammered over there. And then at some point, we came across, I think he was Lithuanian. I don't know. It's one of those like Slavic countries, starts with an L. And he was by himself. It was dark out, sitting at a picnic table, just drinking shots out of a bottle of vodka, invited us over. So kept drinking with him. Next thing I know, I'm waking up to get like pounding on a bathroom stall door where I'm sitting there sleeping, hugging a toilet. Don't have any idea how I got there. I open the door to some like 4'11" girl throwing me back and forth into these stall doors of this bathroom. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Because they were pissed because somebody reported that I was passed out in the bathroom. And they're like, oh, well, some dumb Joe got drunk when they're not supposed to. So she's like whipping me around, and they're like, they sit me down outside, and they're like, we're giving you a breathalyzer, and if you're caught, over the legal limit, you're fucked. And finally, like the guy that was with her was like, hey, you need to go cool off. And apparently it was like the end of their shift, and she was pissed because she knew she was going to have to do paperwork. So the guy gives me a breathalyzer and immediately erases it and is like, nope, he's fine. And I had said something about having food poisoning or something because I ate some like funky shrimp thing at the chow hall. And he's like, yep, nope, he's fine. Must have just actually been food poisoning. And she's like, I want to see it. And he's like, I cleared it. It wasn't, he was fine. Ran into him at the chow hall later. I'm like, where was I? He goes, oh, you were fucked. Jesus. And I'm like, how bad? He's like, you're around 0.1. I'm like, yep. That'll do it. So I got hammered in Baghdad. That was fun. That was like the end of it. Bought a car in Baghdad.
Yep.
Worst car ever. Chrysler 300, ordered brand new. I
remember that at college.
Yeah. So that was my typical like army thing is I bought a car while I was deployed and I got engaged.
Okay.
Both were, the engagement didn't work out. We're still friends, so that's fine. But the car was a piece of shit.
Yeah, so, Chryslers weren't the best. Well, Mopar, Dodge wasn't the best at that time.
Yeah, no, and I didn't know this because I was deployed and I didn't realize that there were all these bailouts going around. So, yeah.
Yeah, they got bought by Mercedes right around then. So you think
is it Mercedes or Fiat?
Mercedes first.
Oh, okay.
Then Mercedes just went, Jesus Christ, you guys are retarded. And then they just like released them or did something. And then Fiat picked them up and they got a lot better actually.
Yeah, now they're not half bad.
And now someone else, I think someone told me it's Stellantis.
I have no idea.
When I heard this, I'm like, what?
Never
even heard of that. It's like Belgium or something.
Yeah, that was so that was my deployment in a nutshell. And now I'm going to circle back to the hand puppet comment earlier.
Yes!
Not going to leave you hanging. So no shit, there I was, fist deep in a bitch's ass.
I like where this starts.
Yeah, so we get back from our deployment and, Joe's looking to drink at this point. So we go to, I think it's called Cadillac Ranch in Fayettville.
I've heard of it, yes.
Yeah, another country bar, where we were kicked out very early on because we were doing shots of tequila and straight Bud Diesels. And we went with, it was me, my buddy Fraua from my unit. I think there's a couple of medics that he was friends with. And then we were actually waiting to meet up with the guy that I had roomed with in Iraq, my buddy Buck. And some guys kept hitting on these girls that were with us, whose boyfriends weren't with us. And Fraua took offense to that.
As you should.
Yeah. And
because they're in your protection. They're your friend's girlfriend.
Exactly. And the girls were not having any of it anyways. And so there were a couple fights that broke out. And finally we were asked, not so politely, to get the fuck out. As I'm like ordering more drinks, and I'm like, oh shit, I got to down them, and I get out, and I'm hammered at this point as Buck shows up, and like we're literally being escorted out by the bouncers and whatnot, and he's walking in, and I'm like, Buck Nasty, what's up? He's like, what the fuck's going on? I'm like, I don't know. I think we got kicked out. What are you doing? He's like, well, I was going to hang out with you, but I guess I'm just going to go home. And I'm like, I'm going with Buck. So he had some girl with him, and I guess it was his babysitter because he had a kid but wasn't in a relationship. Like the relationship had failed, but so he had off-post housing.
Okay.
And his kid like part-time. So this girl's there, and he is trying like hell. And she's obviously not having any of it. So like he steps away, and I just like walk over and just start making out with her. And I was just like, I'm not going to try. I'm just going to be like, this is how it's going to be. And it worked. And like we're fooling around, and she's on this couch, and I'm like kneeling next to it. And at this point, the blackout's starting. And I'm in and out of like consciousness kind of. And I remember I got hand down pants and noticed that there was something a little extra in there. Not that way, but something with a string. And I'm like, well, I'm not fucking. Now, mind you, I said I was engaged during my deployment. I came back single and super jaded. And I was very much like, fuck women. I hate all of you. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to see how this works. And I gave straight up shocker. And it surprisingly was accepted. And that's literally the last thing I remember until I woke up and I was, no joke, fist deep in a bitch's ass. And I come to, and I realize that I am doing this. And I look at her, and I look down at my hand and my arm that's still moving, because it's like at this point just in fucking auto drive. And I look back at her, I go, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like it's her fault. And pull my hand out, wipe it off on my pants, and I look at Buck and I'm like, where's my ride? And I walk outside. I wake up the next morning and I do like the big yawn thing, and my left hand goes in front of my face, and I almost instantly vomit in my bed. I run into the bathroom, and I'm scrubbing with every bit of soap that I can find, and the smell's not going away. I ran down to our supply closet and grabbed bleach, and I started bleaching. Like I literally was in the shower, just bleach and water scrubbing. And I get out and I'm like, why do I still smell it? It won't go away. Then I get next to my bed and I see my jeans, and they are covered in shit and blood. So I immediately ran those up to another platoon's garbage in their laundry room, threw it out there, and was like, yep, nope, I'm good. And sure as shit, the next day was Monday at formation, and Buck's like, so yeah, Bode was fist deep in a bitch's ass. Looks like he's our new fister. So we've now come full circle on fister.
It's been so
You're
much
welcome.
better if they made it rhyme and called you Mr. Fister. Maybe next time.
Missed opportunity. Yeah.
Holy shit.
So yeah, that's it's probably like my most embarrassing story, but so many people have heard it now that I'm like, yeah, fuck it, I'll put it out to the world. It is what it is.
I mean, don't worry, only like 20 people listen to this, so like it's more for us.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean,
I hope you enjoy my shame.
Like, share it with people. Be like, you want to hear however long this ends up being?
Go to about the 2-hour mark of it.
Hilarious. Just slide them the link. Be like, just listen to that.
Yeah. So I mean,
put that on in the background when you're bored one day at work.
I'm sitting here. I'm like, what were all the good stories that I was thinking of, knowing that this was coming up today? Forgot about the falling out of an airplane. So that was a good one.
Yep.
Drunk running was good. Twisted fister.
Oh, Twisted Fister.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's even better than Mr. Fister. Mr. Twisted Fister.
Any other fucked up shit I've done in my life? Oh, I gotta go back and tell you why the cokeheads helped me out.
Oh, yes.
So I came home Easter, and this was probably about 05. 05 was kind of a rough year, man. I was like almost 2 years into service. I'd gotten like my E4, kind of felt invincible as part of like the E4 mafia and shit.
Yep.
And so it's Easter weekend, and like you had mentioned, like, oh, hey, you can only go so far off post, but yeah, fuck you, I'm driving back. So I did that.
Done that many times.
Yeah. So I drive up as soon as like formation lets out Thursday or Friday, whatever it was. I drove up, met up with some people Saturday morning because, 12-hour drive, didn't get it until the morning. And Saturday night, hanging out, I'm at my buddy's, his mom's old house before she passed. And she was dating someone who was apparently dealing weed. And he showed it to me as more of like, he was shocked and appalled and mad about it. And I looked at it like, oh my God, this is like the holy freaking grail for me, man. It was literally like chest freezers full of weed. So Nate, if you hear this, my bad. But so I grabbed, like, everybody we drank through the night, everybody passed out, and I'm the last one up. And I'm like, well, I'm not leaving without a party favor. So I grabbed like a gallon Ziploc bag, go down, and I'm just like just pulling shit out of like random bags so it doesn't look super obvious of what I did.
Yep.
I gave my friend Sam, her birthday is right around this time. Her birthday was a couple days ago. So I was like, hey, happy early birthday. Here's a bunch of weed. And then we smoked and we got fucking baked. So then it's Easter, and that was like Easter Sunday. And Monday we had off for that day, and I drove back. Tuesday, so I smoked a ton of weed Sunday night. Tuesday, we wake up, and they're like, hey, piss test, 100%.
Because 96 on a big holiday, they always fucking do it.
Yep. So I'm freaking out. And I'm like, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? And they're like not letting anybody like take a piss or anything because, you can't pee beforehand. Mm-hmm. So I ended up having, I had like a Pepsi addiction back then. It was real bad. And I had like a full 2 liter and an empty one that I had just finished like the day before when I got back. Mm-hmm. So I fill the one with water and I dump the other one out. And I'm drinking a 2 liter, pissing into one, like drinking one, pissing in the other, and dumping it out my bedroom window.
Okay.
So that way, like, hey, they can't see me, which they probably could, considering this was like the old shitty barracks, because I didn't have a toilet, like a private bathroom. Yep. So I'm like dumping this out right into like where we have formation, because that's the side of the building that my room was on. So I'm doing this, and I finally I sneak out and I go down, and I ask the guy, I'm like, hey, I know what you do. Do you have any niacin? He goes, what did you do? Like all like shocked, like, oh, hey, are you one of us? And I told him, I smoked a shit ton of weed on Sunday. He goes, dude, you're a fucking idiot. You don't smoke weed on a long weekend. And I'm like, yeah, well, I'm a dumbass. So he's like, here, take this. And I can't remember how many he gave me, but it was so much niacin. My internal body temperature spiked, because that's what it does. I wear contacts. My contacts dried to my eyes and caused an infection within 20 minutes of taking the niacin.
Holy shit.
That's how much I took. I couldn't open my eyes anymore. So I'm like blind in my room, like trying to feel the bottle to piss and whatever. And finally I'm like, well, I can't avoid it forever. So I literally am holding the wall to get in line. I take my piss test. I'm then put on 3 days where I'm not allowed to work because of the eye infection. So I can't leave. I have to pretty much stay in my bed, and people have to come in and put like freaking creams and shit in my eyes to kill like the antibiotics and all this shit. Damn. Fast forward a couple of weeks. We've already heard one guy pissed hot. Uh-huh. And he's getting the boot.
Yep.
I'm in my room and I hear, Bode, get in here, from my first sergeant. Now, this is the former Delta one. I get in there and I'm like, hey, first sergeant, how's it going? He's like, oh, the fuck. And I snap to like parade rest, like instantly, like, nope, this is not a social call. Like, I'm fucked. I'm so fucked. And he's like, what the fuck? What? And heavy Puerto Rican accent, though. He's like, what the fuck? How could you do this? How? I can't fucking believe you. Get the fuck down. So I drop. I start doing push-ups. He's like, I didn't say push. Down. Holding. And he's just smoking the shit out of me. And it's probably like it felt like 20, 30 minutes. It was probably like 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Because I'm having a panic attack. Because I'm like, I'm going to get kicked out of the Army. I'm going to get an other or even a dishonorable for a drug fucking getting the boot. But at the whole time, he has never once said anything about drugs or anything. It was always just, I can't fucking believe you. How the fuck could you? I thought you were better than this. And finally, he's like, on your feet. And I get up and he's just like, so, remember a couple weeks ago when the bathroom backed up and you had shit all over the floor? Because, old school barracks didn't actually happen.
Yep.
I was like, yeah. And he goes, and you were cleaning it up, right? I go, yeah. He goes, at any point, did First Sergeant Henderson, the one, they were in like a transition. He goes, did First Sergeant Henderson ever just slide in front, shake his private parts at you and say anything to you? I looked at him and go, negative, First Sergeant. He goes, that's what I thought. You willing to say that to Jag? I go, Roger, First Sergeant. He goes, cool. Get the fuck out of my office. And I'm like, is that it? He goes, yeah, I was just fucking with you. And I'm like, cool. I booked it. I was on every piss test after that. And I remember the look that Captain Harris gave me. Like, it must have been on there, but below the threshold.
Yeah.
And somehow, dude, I quit smoking weed until I got out of the Army after that. Because I was like, nope, that was way too fucking close.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, First Sergeant Henderson definitely slid across old fucking Risky Business style swing, flung open his fucking towel and goes, Grandma says hi, boys. But the guy who was getting kicked out was also on that detail and had filed a sexual harassment complaint.
Got it.
Yeah. After he found out that, he was getting the boot. So it was hey, if I take care of like you got to take care of me. And it was just like, oh, I'm on board. I'll play ball with this one. We're good.
Yep.
So, yeah, that's how a Coke had helped me out by having niacin ready.
That's a good fucking thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't even know that I could do that until after I got out because, like, I was clean the whole time I was in.
Nah.
I was like, nope, not touching it, not even trying because I'm like, I know I like it and I know I won't be able to put it down.
Yeah. I mean, I smoked so much in high school. Oh, with you, our buddy Tom. Like, that was like what I did. I drank a little bit. And then when I was in Silver Creek, though, there was a lot of smoking. Well, a lot of fucking brownies, too. But it was just, that's how I chilled.
I believe you're supposed to call them African Americans. No, I know you're saying head edibles.
Didn't see that one coming. But yeah, I mean, it was like I was a pothead in high school for a little bit, and then I was like, no, I'm joining the Army. I can't. And then I got in, and it got to that, like, I'm invincible, and picked it back up, and that happened. I was like, no, I really fucking can't now. Like, this is too damn close. Actually, a guy that I was kind of friends-ish with from my squad, LaFleur, he got kicked out for that piss test. He tried pulling the, I was at a house party, and somebody must have fed me a brownie. Nope, doesn't matter.
Classic lines, doesn't care.
Yep. So, yeah, I quit smoking for a while then. Just picked it back up recently. Not nearly as often and not nearly as much. Because weed nowadays, man, is not the same as that.
It's a massively different animal.
Yeah, it's not that same swaggy skunk shit that fucking, okay, I can smoke a joint to myself and be fine. I take 2 hits and I'm like, okay, I got to stop. Because otherwise, I'm having a fucking bad day.
Yeah, I messed with it a little bit, and I just went, okay, yeah, this isn't my jam.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I've massively cut back my drinking to where I'm like, you know what, this is manageable. I'm okay with that.
Yeah. So my drinking used to be so bad that, like, a couple weeks ago, I went to like a family party. Mm-hmm. Now I've been working a lot lately. We're a little bit behind. It's a busy time of the year, so I've been putting in a lot of hours, and I got up stupid early that morning to go put in like a 6-hour day before the family party. And I get there and I'm beat. Like, physically you can see that I'm tired. And my whole, like, both, there's a couple of my aunts and one of my uncles was just like, oh man, you have a rough night last night, drink a few too many. And I'm looking at them like, I haven't had a drink. And I had to think about it. I'm like, the last drink I had was after my mom's funeral. I'm like, I haven't drank in 2 weeks. And I was like, damn.
That'll peel the fucking weight off you.
I'm like, I haven't had a drink in 2 weeks. And I had to think back, and I'm like, when was the last time I drank before the funeral? And I'm realizing, like, I'm on a 2-week rotation now where I'm like, I don't even, like, yeah, we had the old fashions today, but before that was like, okay, a couple times a week I might make one after work. Now I'm like, nope, grab a glass of water, eat my dinner or whatever, Diet Coke, something like that. Good. And if I do something on the weekends, like if I golf, I might have like an hard Arnold Palmer light from the clubhouse or two in my 18 rounds.
Yep.
But I'm like, I don't do the like, hey, I'm going to go knock out a 30 rack to the face like over the course of this day. I can't do that shit anymore.
I cannot either. I think the best I ever did was an 18 rack to the face. But I'm also smaller than most dudes.
Yeah. I mean, hell, I went the hardest I've gone in a long time was when day of the funeral when I met up with you, and that wasn't even all that bad. I woke up the next morning. I hadn't set an alarm or anything. It was like, this is the first time in weeks that I actually got to sleep in. 5:30. I was up. I fought it. And I was like, nope, it's like 6:30. I got up. I took a shower, got stuff ready. And I was like, I could drive home. Nah, I sat on my ass and like watched videos, and finally it was like 8 o'clock. I'm like, I got to get the hell out of here. I'm like going stir crazy, and took off. And I'm like, I shouldn't feel like this. Like, I just drank a ton of stuff last night. Felt fine.
And you didn't pay for most of it.
You're right. I didn't. I gave all the cash that I had as tips, though.
Which is a good move, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, I plan on spending the money, so I might as well give it away to them. If you guys aren't going to let me buy my drinks, I'm just going to tip them really well.
I'm sure they loved it.
Yeah. Why not? I mean, they treated me right, and I'll treat them right.
Yeah, I mean, I did warn them that you were coming, and it was Fred Fest weekend, too.
Yeah. You know, that right there also showed my age and some personal growth. That it was like, what, 10:30 was when we were like, yeah, we're done.
Yeah, pretty much.
Because it was like college kids are out. The shitty bars are super shitty and starting to get packed with them. Yeah, nope, I'm good. Where, yeah, just 10 years ago, I guess now, about right. I'd been like, all right, cool. It's 10:30. We're just getting started. I've probably drank as much as I did before then.
10:30 it would have been about the time I start going, tear the fucking club up. Let's light this fucking joint and do it.
Yeah. And go to those shitty bars that we went to. Valentine's and Muldoon's. And
BJ's.
I would have gone. BJ's. Yeah. I'm kind of disappointed that I didn't make a stop over to BJ's. But seeing Valentine's and Dunes the way that they were, I'm like, I don't want to be this disappointed today.
Yeah. So, I ran into Janet like the day before when I messaged you where I'm just like, it's Fred Fest, and by the way, we should come here, and it's going to be pretty chill.
Yeah.
I was fucking so glad I just randomly ran into her. I was just like,
perfect.
Hey.
I love that place.
Yeah,
I wish there was
great.
like a place like that right here, like near me, so I didn't have to like
Before
go downtown.
Was that. So were you around Fredonia when it was Little McGill's?
Yeah.
She sponsored my hockey team.
Okay.
So like that was the bar league team I played for. And like, so we go in there and just get bombed after games.
So do you remember when it was Coils?
Yeah.
So
it was that for like a minute after we got out.
Yeah.
Then it was Little McGill's.
Yeah. So when it was Coils, just before it switched over, there was a bartender there named Dave Foote. He ended up being my first supervisor at Geico.
Nice.
And when I saw him, I was just like, I know you. Why do I know you? And he's just like, where are you from? And I'm like, Dunkirk. And he's like, well, did you ever go to this bar? And I'm like, you slung beers. He's like, yes, I did. And I'm like, all right, that's how I know you. That was vague because I never really went in there unless I was already like pretty well gone. Because that was usually like when friends were like, hey, let's move from this bar and go somewhere else. And I'm like, but I got a seat. Here. Yeah. Like I got a spot at the bar. The bartender knows me. I really stopped and kind of focused on like not going to bars when it got to the point where I could walk past a bar. And before I got in, if I stopped for a cigarette before walking in, there would be a beer at a bar stool waiting for me because they just saw that I was coming in. And I'm like,
yep,
that's a problem. And then, I'd forget about it because it'd be like, yeah, I'm just going to drink it away and whatever. But I mean, when I first got out, I mean, like I said, I cleared the Army right after my deployment, got out. And in the first 6 months of being out, I drank away like the $36,000 that I had saved from my deployment. It was gone. And it was,
Yeah, I believe that.
I was working full time and I still drank it all away. Because, of course, I left to join the Army to not work at the dog food plant and started working at the dog food plant.
Yeah, I didn't want to work at a factory either. And while I was in college, I was a security guard at Petrie's Cookies.
Yeah, you got the much better job. Minus the drive to Silver Creek.
The only good part about it was that I would take, because, you know, they had the broken cookies that weren't good to go into packages. So they had them in the bag so you could, like, just take them or whatever. And I would bring them to the bars. And I'd give them to the bartender at BJ's. And sometimes they'd let me have a few drinks for free, and sometimes they wouldn't.
Yeah.
And also, it was like, you know, just one of the best colognes coming out of there. You just go to a bar smelling like a fucking cookie.
Yeah. A lot better than smelling like fucking dog food.
I mean, my dog would have liked that.
Yeah. Nobody in the bar would have. So
Probably. No, not even probably. Definitely not.
No.
Excuse me, ma'am. Would you prefer a man that smells like dog food or cookies? Well, the girl that says that, you go, all right, I'm walking away from you.
That's kind of crazy that I probably would be attracted to immediately. And down the road, I'd instantly regret, be like, man, I should have instantly known this was going to be bad.
She's a dog person. This is going to be great. I'm almost a dog. I eat stuff from cans and...
Oh, man. My luck with women was so bad that I've literally, I stopped after like years. And I'm like, man, all the red flags were always there. And I'm just, I'll be good. Now I'm like,
it'll be fine, Jim.
Nah, I'm good. I'm just going to do this like single life thing. And it's kind of nice, though. I can do whatever the fuck I want, whenever the fuck I want to. I do like that.
That is pretty good.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. I'm like, is there any other fucking stupid shit I've done with my life?
I mean,
anything else you want to know?
You did jump out of perfectly good aircraft.
I did.
I mean, some people call that stupid. I call that pretty fucking cool.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll think of more, and we can always have you back.
So that ski dude you're talking about, that recruiter?
Sergeant Ski, yeah.
Yeah, I did run into him one more time. In basic training, he went to... So he actually was getting promoted, and you have to go to the schoolhouse for it.
Yep.
And one of our drill sergeants was also going to that same schoolhouse and actually left us in the middle of like our basic training. Mm-hmm. Well, he came back in to check on us and brought Ski with him. And he walks over to me and he looks, he's just like, I know you. You're from Dunkirk, right? And I'm like, yeah. And I couldn't really remember him because I honestly only had like 2 face-to-faces with him.
Okay.
And he's just like, yeah. I was the one who like met you over at that Augie household. And that was actually the last name of the girl I was dating. When I got recruited.
Wait, what?
It stopped at Augie, not a nickname. But yeah, he's like, yeah, you were friends with that Augie girl. And I'm like, yeah. Oh, shit. So they were talking, and the other drill sergeant Z comes up and he's like, hey, Bode, I know you weren't the one who fucked up, because we were also in the middle of an ass chewing. He goes, I know you're not in the middle of, you weren't the one who fucked up, but we can't make this social hour. You know, you guys are about to get fucked up. And I'm like, Roger.
Yeah. So no, Sergeant Ski recruited both of my brothers and my buddy Bobby. And now you. So that brings it to 4 that I know.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it was him. Was he the PsyOps guy?
I have no idea. I just remember Sergeant Ski.
Because I don't remember what his name was. I remember he was the Dunkirk recruiter. So
yeah, basically.
Yeah. I just know that he was PsyOps. Because I thought about doing that for a while too. And I was like, nah, I'll just jump out of planes and blow shit. Because I asked him, like, what did you do? And he broke it down, and I'm like, that sounds like actual work. I don't want it to work. I just wanted to be mindless and fucking be able to get out.
Yeah. PT is not work.
Yeah, right. I just didn't want to think. No,
it is just the fucking military. It is the entire point of it, and everything else behind that is just to make those guys blow shit up and fucking shoot shit.
Yeah, there was a commercial way back in the day that was like, there's 112 jobs in the U.S. Army, or 12 jobs in the U.S. Army. which one's for you? And then the joke for us was, no, there's one job in the U.S. Army, and there's 111 ways to support us.
Basically, yeah.
So, yeah, 2.5 hours. That actually went by quick, man.
Exactly. Go by faster if we were sitting at a bar just slamming those, though.
Yeah. I'm glad that I didn't bring the shit in to just keep making more.
Yeah, that's a good thing, because I'd have to turn you down and be like, I'm sorry, I have to drive.
Yeah, and I got to get up stupid early for work and finish some end-of-month paperwork and call an alarm company and set off alarms on purpose to make sure they work.
I got to finish building stuff for my girlfriend that I told her I was going to build. It's fun.
Can't relate.
With the building things or the girlfriend?
The girlfriend.
Oh, okay.
No, the building shit, I'm like, we're sitting at a table that, like, we built this little topper just to protect it. It's the cheapest thing ever, but it's been the best thing ever. Yeah. So you can sit here, drink, party, do whatever, and if you spill, it doesn't fuck up my table.
Nice. I approve.
Yeah.
It looks nice.
It also makes it way bigger so you can have more people sitting around it.
Sweet.
Yeah. Yeah, this is where I'm living. This is my life. It's pretty simple. I work, I golf, I play hockey. I got into the archery. That was honestly though, that was kind of I found that as a better way to cope than drinking.
Yes.
So after a few years of like really being a waste case and having no goals, direction, anything like that, I needed something. And my buddy Rich was just like, hey dude, why don't you come out to the woods with me? And we went out. It was like some December day. It was out in Forestville.
Mm-hmm.
Rain, snow, sleet mix, like shitty and windy and gross, where you're just soaked to the bone. Yes. And we walked through the woods for like 6 hours. I was out in like jeans with like an orange cotton pants covering it, like a shitty jacket, some crappy gloves, like all this extra stuff that he had lying around that was like families or whatever. None of it good. And I was wearing like steel toe work boots.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah. So absolutely crappy scenario. And he's the whole time like, man, I'm so sorry. We get back and we're done for the day. We get in the truck to the point where our hands are like red and can't feel anything. We're waiting for the truck heat to warm up so we can feel, so we can drive.
Yep.
And I looked at him, I'm like, when can you bring me out again? Because it was just being out in the woods was peaceful. And it was a place where I could actually find time to come to terms with some things and let my mind think without it going to dark places. And hunting kind of like saved me a little bit. So
good.
Finally, like I bought a bow, got my hunting permit, and was like, all right, this is what I'm doing. And it's like, some people find God in church and whatever, and I'm big fan. There's a song, I think it says it's something like I'm more of tree stand something instead of a back pew pretender. And it's like I'm not a very religious person, more of like an altruistic.
I know what you're going for, because the one I've always went with is an Aldous Huxley quote, which is, to my father, a walk in the woods and the mountains was the equivalent of a church.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much what it is. Like I feel closer to whatever's out there when I'm sitting in a tree stand than I do in a house of worship of any kind. So it's October through January now is like, that's where I'm going to be. I'm going to be in the woods.
Fuck yeah, man.
Because it's like for those few months, I can find like a little bit of peace. And then the summer is always crazy. It is what it is. And it also kind of lets me unwind, I guess, at the end of each year before a new one starts up. So that's why I do like the archery shit too.
Good. I'm glad you found that, and I'm glad it's doing well for you.
Yeah. Yeah. There were some days where it were a little dark. I was a little worried for a little bit. I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to make it out of college here. But, because I'm also not the, like, therapy guy, but I am, but not actually going to a doctor. Like, I'm going to find a way to do it and deal with, like, friends, whatever. Yeah. So, still have my moments.
We all do.
PTSD is a real damn thing. But it comes in so many different variations that it's like there's no cookie cutter way. And there's no matter how much they try to tell you, like, this is going to be the symptoms, they don't tell you that, like, hey, by the way, those things that are going to bother you, could stay hidden for the next decade.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden appear. Like, oh, damn.
I find that the best thing is just getting a hold of the old dudes that you still can get a hold of and then just trying to find the fucking rest.
Yeah. I still keep up with some of them, though. Like, real close with my buddy Mud. He lives out in the Bay Area of California.
Okay.
I can't remember if it's like San Jose or San Francisco. One of the two. Pretty sure San Jose. Buddy Tommy's in Southern California. Scott, I mentioned earlier, who got like shot in the shoulder. I met up with him not long ago when he was living in Pennsylvania. He's now moved and is sharing property with Buck, who I lived with in Iraq.
Nice.
So they were real close, and they're like, he actually is like adjacent property or on his property. Something weird out in like Oklahoma. Trying to think, like, who was I super close with? I think Mike is still in Longnecker. Lost touch of some people. And then the only one that really sucked was my buddy Tony in like 2015 killed himself because he had some demons too.
Uh-huh.
So he didn't make it away or make it, through everything. But it did bring us all together and kind of like, hey guys, we're here. If you're feeling a certain kind of way, reach the fuck out. Actually, hell, guy that I served with, I haven't heard from him since I cleared. But we're friends on Facebook. Messaged me last weekend just to catch up. Hey man,
Good.
how's it going? So yeah, I still keep up with everybody. The only person I've seen was Derek, the one who I stole his blanket after puking all over the room. He's the one who's like living just, I think, south of Wilmington now.
Oh, nice.
So I saw him. He's the most recent person I've seen. So I do need to make an effort and go see some people. Texas is where I need to go for most of them, though, because I know like Copeland, Tim's out there, a couple other people. Yeah, a bunch of guys that I served with.
Setting up, like I know before the pandemic, we almost, not really so much even me, but my best friend Ryan, the one who lives in Wilmington, he wanted to set up something for the Marine Corps birthday. So, right around Veterans Day, we almost did something in Vegas, and then the pandemic hit, and like everyone was like super fucking excited. So like, I don't know, like important
I've never
anniversary date or anything like that, but like trying to get everyone together, like let's all meet up in this super fun place and do some shit. Like we all go.
So I didn't go to it, but Sergeant Roberti, who was one of our forward observer guys,
the original fister.
Yeah. So he set up a Two Panther reunion, and a lot of guys went. They've done it a few times now, and they do it Land of the Lakes, Tennessee, I think is what it's called. Something like that.
Land Between the Lakes.
Land Between the Lakes. It's like a state park thing,
Yeah,
something like
so
that.
that's west, a little bit west of Fort Campbell.
Okay. Yeah, so it's somewhere out there in Tennessee, and they did like this
exactly where it is.
this huge gathering, and like I saw pictures, a ton of guys were there, and it would have been cool, but it was at a time where I just didn't have the money or the time or anything to go, and it was all like pre-pandemic. And he still has like a Facebook page, and people still post, and I think there might be some plans to try to get another one soon, and I think I'll actually have to get my ass to that one, catch up with some people.
No, it's pretty fucking nice area right down there.
Yeah, and it's middle of the country, so it's kind of one of those like, hey, it's as centered as we're gonna get without having to go to middle of nowhere, Kansas.
Oh, we were going to do Vegas because it's easy for everyone to get to. There's always fucking cheap flights and there's always rooms.
Yeah, Vegas is also one of those like, I don't really have a desire to. But for something like that, I guess it'd be different because it's like, all right, cool, I'm going out with some Army buddies. And
then the other thing too was that's where we had desert test and evaluation for the Osprey. So like we spent 2 fucking months there.
Fair.
So it's just like, this is where it all began, the culmination of us going downhill and getting those 46 bastards in here.
Yeah, I always wanted to do like a North Carolina one. There's so many people that are there, but there's also so many West Coast guys now that it's just one of those like, all right, you gotta move it.
It's so fucking hard to get to Eastern North Carolina too, from an airport.
Yeah, Charlotte is the closest one you can fly into.
That's 4 hours away.
Yeah.
Raleigh, you're still taking a fucking...
You're flying into Charlotte and then taking a small plane up, or you're flying to Atlanta and then another plane up. Yeah, there's no
Raleigh's a decent airport, but you're still taking fucking
forever to 95 to or 40 to 95 and down for a couple hours.
It's 40 to 95 to there.
Yeah. God, it's been a long time since I had to drive that. I'm like, I still remember.
I mean, I just did it not that long ago. I came in the backwoods way. I went down.
Yeah,
to Pittsburgh,
219. Like that
through
whole
West Virginia, down through Winston-Salem, and then I took 40 all the way
Oh,
across.
you did like the, what is that, 79 to 77 or something like that?
No fucking.
Down, yeah. That's how I used to do the drive whenever I'd come home on leave, is like down through to Pittsburgh, cut over towards Ohio, catch that bottom corner of Ohio, through, and then down through West Virginia to Winston-Salem. And then from Winston-Salem, it was just hop on 40 to 95.
Did 79 down through Pittsburgh, then took West Virginia all the way down and through, like crossed like a very tiny gap of Virginia, and then boom, you're in North Carolina, like right there by Winston-Salem.
And 40 over 95 south.
Yep. Yeah, but no, like that way was really fucking fun. So me and the girlfriend did it that way, and like all these beautiful state parks in West Virginia, and we're just like staring at each other, and we're just like, this place is absolutely fucking amazing. And we're just like, we need to like come here when it's not winter and the trees are dead.
Yeah. You know what's not fun? That Blue Ridge Parkway through West Virginia, where you're in between all the mountains and everything, having your power steering go out in December.
Ooh, that is not fun, no.
On that brand new Chrysler 300 within a month of owning it.
Chryslers.
Yep. This is why this is the biggest piece of shit ever. So you know that drive. So telling you that and then running, so you would know power steering, kind of a nice thing to have when you're zigzagging around those freaking mountains.
Oh, God, that doesn't sound fun at all.
Yeah, that was like the worst drive of my life.
Other than that, it would be a beautiful drive.
Oh, yeah, it was beautiful. Just, my asshole was puckered for fucking 10 hours.
Yeah, fuck that. So that was the last time about a Dodge?
Yeah, got rid of that thing, had a Ford F-150 till I broke that. It was a great truck, and I wish I'd had the money to fix it, but I snapped the leaf spring, I can't think of it, the bracket.
Okay.
Snapped it right off by actually out near Panama doing some scouting and some state land for a camping trip. Hit a giant hole with the back end. Didn't even know it, that it broke off. The bed liner was holding it in place for about 3 months before, two to 3 months before I got rid of the truck. Because it was like, they were like, we want like $6,000 to fix it. And I'm like, you just have to weld the thing in place. What the hell you need that much money for? I didn't have that because I was working at the dog food plant for like $9 an hour. And I was like, nope, I'm a poor college kid. So I'm going to roll over my Chrysler 300 payment into this truck payment. And I'm going to roll both of those now into a really shitty, I got a Chevy Malibu. And I had that until a couple of years ago when I finally got rid of that and paid everything off. And now I have no debts for vehicles and back to my F-150. Great. I love it. America. Even though half of it's made overseas now.
Everything's made overseas.
Yeah. Except Toyotas.
Nissans?
Yeah, the majority of those are fucking built here. They're just money just goes overseas to the people who own the shit.
Yeah, it's actually the Japanese the Japanese business model. Build it where you're going to sell it.
Yeah.
It's like, that's fucking brilliant. They're going to make it, then they're going to buy it off you.
Yeah. Smart
Most of it's assembly, though.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, did you want to call it then?
Yeah, I mean, kind of a good place. I can't think of any other good, fun, stupid shit that I do.
Well, there's always more.
Yeah.
Or there's always the option of next time we can do this, hit debauchery level, and then just, tell dick jokes the entire time and make each other laugh.
Yeah, can always do that. I mean...
Or we could gang up on another person.
Any dick joke I have is just going to be short.
I think that's the badumpch.
I hope it is.
I really fucking hope so, too. Oh, fuck. The volume's not on. All right, say it again.
It's never good the second time around. That's what she said.
That's got to be it. That's got to be it. Yes.
Yeah. With that, I guess we'll call it. any words of wisdom here to leave it with?
I hope so, because I don't have any.
Yeah. This is the one thing that we always finish like company formations with. It's not PC by any means.
Perfect.
Shoot straight. Don't be gay.
I love it. All right, later.